This is a How Is He podcast with Podge and Poppa, proudly sponsored by Ampifi. Power up your podcast. Let's kick it off.
Welcome to episode 59 of the How Is He podcast. Joined as always by my co-host, fresh off the plane.
Literally off the plane, yeah.
And you were late.
Snail's eyes
Don't
on
do
me.
it again.
Sorry, boss.
Paul Poppa Doling, you hear there.
John Coffey beside me, look, come on.
And we're here in Ampifi Studio, right in the heart of Carlow Town. Today's guest is someone who's lived every young footballer's dream. Signing for Liverpool in 2006, coming through the academy system. He then moved to Ipswich Town to play first team football. He then moved clubs over the next 7 years, amassing a total of 134 professional appearances, along with Irish caps from under 16s to under 21s. But behind the success, there was a struggle, one that's more common in the world of sport than many realise. Our guest faced a battle with a gambling addiction, a silent opponent that nearly cost him everything. In this episode, we talk openly about it, about the highs of professional football and the lows that come off the pitch. What led him there and how he found a way out, and what he's doing now to help others in the same fight. This is a story of vulnerability, resilience and redemption. A massive, massive welcome to Shane O'Connor. Shane, how are you?
Very good. Thanks a lot for having me in, lads.
Thanks for coming down.
No problem. Jeez.
Bit of an old trek. Was it alright?
There, I always wanted to have to drive the road to Carlow, so it made my dreams come true there.
You never in Carlow before?
I've been down to Carlow, but I came to Dublin way. I'd never come from Cork. So
okay.
All right,
it was a novelty. It was a novelty.
Yeah.
No, it was grand.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. Sure, it's all motorway now, really, isn't it? Right?
Yeah, it was reminding me of the days when I got to Abbey Leaks, going up to Cork years ago for the Cork games, get a bit of nostalgia there. I didn't quite get past K's. Isn't it? Is it K's? So that little place on the left hand side before you go on the Dublin Road in Abbey Leaks. I can't remember the name, but
the Capri.
Yeah, we always stopped there.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
So I was a bit nostalgic there now when I was driving into Abbey Leaks.
Yeah, I'd be driving back through it as well.
Yeah,
even stopping the Capri on the way home, will you?
I'll go further down the road before I stop now.
Well, thanks so much for coming on. As I said, we do have questions and all that. We're just going to go straight into it, right? So I want people to get insight into the process of becoming a pro, right? So talk me through that. I know we spoke outside before we came in here and you blew my mind with things you were saying, to be honest with you. Talk to me about that process to get into Liverpool.
Yeah, I suppose mine would be quite lucky. It's probably a unique story in regards to how I got my trial to Liverpool, to be honest with you, because my mum threw me into a summer camp down in Cork because I had no minder for the week. So basically my nan would always took me, but I had no one to mind me, I think, as far if my recollection is correct. So she goes, look, why don't you go into the summer camp here? So I was like, yeah, grand, soccer, I'd go, no problem. So she put me out to summer camp. I didn't know anyone out there, and it ended up just being 3 days of a summer camp. But at the time, I actually wasn't signed with any soccer club. I was big into GA, big family background in GA. So I was playing for Cork and GA. So I made the decision I was just going to play for GA. I wasn't picked up in the Kennedy Cup, so it was kind of back then. If you weren't given a try in the Kennedy Cup, you weren't going to kind of go across the water. Kind of thing. That was the thinking back then. So I went to lay all my cards into the GA section, and so about 2 months after the camp, my mum called me in from the park. She said, Shane, there's a fella on the phone there saying you're going for tries in Liverpool. And I was like, what are you on about? Like, mystified, like. And the first thing was like, I'm a United fan, so how's that going to work? Do you know what I mean? But anyway, she said, no, you're going, they want to go on trial in September. I was like, well, absolutely, 100%. So I was better find myself a team again. So I rang up the whole team, and I was like, will I go back there? Then the team ended up, that was running the camp, ended up getting me to go to them instead.
Oh, you stopped playing soccer after Kennedy Cup?
I played the next year, and then when that summer came, I stopped because because everything was clashing. Like it was clashing the whole time, and to be honest, GA was everything for me growing up. Like I would have had nothing at all. I didn't train soccer. It was the GA team, my own age and the year above. They looked at, like, even I actually hurt my knee. I remember training with the soccer team before the Kennedy Cup, and I remember walking out from the Cork train, and I couldn't walk. My knee was completely swelled up. It was in bits, and they let me walk out the gate. And it was my GA club, the Pearshik in Cork, who looked after me, nursed me back to health, and got me fifth career in the Fail All Ireland. Yeah. So they nursed me, got me physio. They didn't ask for a penny back of me. They looked after me the whole time. So I owe everything. If I actually made it big, they're probably sick to hear, but it would be them who I'd be giving everything back to, because they were the ones who I'd owe my childhood to, because they gave me every happy memory from GA, which is funny to say when you're playing soccer, but
it's not often you hear that.
You know, it was they gave me everything. I mean, I helped out with summer camps up there. The Pearshik was my childhood, like. So I owe everything to them. Anything I had at all, any chance I had of going to England, actually, funny enough, came from from Gal. Like, so when I got the call to go over, I was delighted. I went over. I remember I was over there, got picked up from the airport, and I'm going to get picked up here in some sort of Mercedes. Like, it's going to be unbelievable. Fella picked me up in a 77, like, banger of a thing. Goes, he's bringing me to Liverpool.
Off in the shopping trolley,
Who's he bringing me to? But he brought me into the training ground then, and I'm still kind of, it's kind of not registering where I am. Like, and he goes, "Oh, you have a game in an hour and a half against Man United under 15s." Like, I'm like, what? Man United? Like, yeah. So played the game, done quite well in the game. And obviously, first day I was only over there 3 days, and they said, "Look, we'd like you to come back in a couple of weeks and for a bit longer and see how you get on." Absolutely, came back. So I ended up doing I went over there 3 times, and on the end of my last game against Blackburn, Dave Shannon, who was the 16s coach at the time, called me and said, "Look, we'd love you to come back on a YTS 2-year contract." So obviously, I was none the wiser what even that meant. I didn't have a clue, right? And this is where Dublin lads definitely have to pick on the Cork lads. I wasn't involved in any
That's
Irish.
a strong debate, isn't it?
No, I wasn't involved in any Irish setup. I wasn't involved in anything at this time. So what they were offering me was all I knew.
Right.
So I was, and my dad was a Liverpool fan. So they asked me to not go to any other clubs on trial. In that conversation, they said, "Will you give me your?" Because Leicester were trying to pick me up.
Not saying anything, just a loyalty thing.
Yeah. So, but Leicester were trying to pick me up from the end of the trial and go to them and actually trial with them for a few days, which I had agreed before I gone over. So he was saying, "Please don't go and trial anywhere else. Just sign for us and whatever." So I'm sitting in a room with Dave, like. So obviously I'm like, "Well, absolutely, I'm not going to. You're offering me like I won't go anywhere else." Yeah. So he ended up ringing the Leicester guy, telling him not to come. I remember the Leicester fella ringing my mum and saying, like, "Look, don't do this, like, have a look around, shop, don't put all your eggs in one basket, whatever." And sure, like, my dad at the time, I think the words he said were like, "Look, they gave you a bit of loyalty, you would never had a chance, so why don't you, show that maybe loyalty back?" So I ended up giving my word to him, because that would have been, say, the end of September, October. I never signed papers for them until February. So there was like a 6-month window there. But once I had gone on trial to Liverpool, I was called into the Irish setup, but it wasn't a game until, like, say, December. But then Irish setup came. I had Chelsea ringing me, Arsenal ringing me, Wolves ringing me. I mean,
who's over there in the setup at this stage now?
Who was doing the Irish team?
John Morling, no?
No, it was the older chap. His name now was gone on my head when you said it.
Yeah,
Tony.
Vinny Lonergan.
Oh,
Vinny Lonergan.
Vinny. Glad he came to me there.
Yeah.
Lovely fella. Jeez, lovely fella. But he was doing the Irish team at the time. So once he called me, I went up there. I was getting calls from all sorts of teams. Never United though. So never United. Conor McCormack. He got that call. Conor McCormack. So he was United, but I never got the call for United. But I never went and dipped my toe anywhere else. I only stayed with Liverpool. So when my first trip with Ireland, that actually happened to be the end of February. I just signed the papers with Liverpool. So now I'm over, and it was actually Israel we went to. So I'm over in Israel, and like Ian Daly's going to Man City, Mikey Collins was another lad who's going to Liverpool with me. There were lads literally going across the water at the end of that year. Everyone was moving abroad. Like, so I'm talking to lads, and we're kind of getting in, like, what did you get and what did you get? And I could hear them all talking 1 year scholar, 2 year pro, 2 year scholar, 1 year pro. But the one thing that stood out from all is they all got a year's at least pro.
Yeah.
I had taken literally the lowest bar. I took the lowest thing possible. 2 year scholar.
Oh, did you?
2 year scholar.
And that's why you were told to go nowhere else, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and at the time I didn't know any different. But what it gave all the lads a little bit was a little bit of security.
Yeah,
where, like, even Mikey that was going to Liverpool with me was a 1 year scholar, 2 year pro. I taken a 2 year scholar, so he was miles. And actually through my whole time in Liverpool, everyone presumed because I was the foreigner, every other foreigner got a 1 year scholar, 2 year pro. I was the only one that was stupid enough to take what was literally put in front of me the first time.
Well, it wasn't. You were absolutely in the unknown with it, though.
Yeah. I didn't have a clue.
Yeah.
But straight away I kind of felt maybe
Catfish
undervalued.
job,
yeah.
Like, a little bit undervalued.
Of course you would, yeah.
Because
especially when you're hearing other lads getting 1 year apprenticeships and 2 year pro. You're like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And then I remember Mikey, and when he signed his pro the year when he turned 17, everyone's like, when are you signing your pro? Because I never had the heart to say, oh no, I only, because everyone presumed I was on the same. So it's like literally went along with that's what I have as well. Like, so when I went to Liverpool, I was kind of on the back foot there even. But as I was saying earlier, when I went outside, I was saying, like, GA was my upbringing. I was blessed with GA. I trained GA maybe 4 or 5 times a week. Wasn't really training soccer. Rockmount was my team growing up, but like, listen, we might train once and then we might not train again for another 3 or 4 weeks or even a couple of months. Like, it was really, like miles apart from the GA. GA were giving you constant through the winter. Didn't even feel like we had a break looking back.
Full contact.
Yeah. So they fitness, everything that the GA gave me. So when I went over to England, I was a little bit taken back because even with Ireland, we probably went on about 4 or 5 trips, but there wasn't a lot of tactics, and it was still. So when I went to England, they were like, "You're going to play here, and this is what we'd like you to do." And I was like, I don't know, I was like fish out of water. Didn't understand my position. Didn't understand where to be in the pitch.
Where was the position they were giving you?
I was left wing at the time then there.
Right.
But when I was in Ireland, I would have been centre mid, get the ball and kind of do what I wanted, kind of thing, or because you would have been one of the stronger ones. I was in England about 5 minutes and understood not only am I not one of the stronger ones, I'm probably not even one of the top 10 best here. Like I like looking at these lads, like they were specimens, like they were even at 17, like they were unbelievable ahead of me. Fitness was what I had. I did have fitness. Probably because of the GA.
Oh yeah,
I had fitness. Like no one could outrun me, but technically they were all a lot better than me. The one thing that always stood out for me that I didn't have was awareness of when I received the ball. And at the time I wouldn't have understood it, but looking back, I didn't know what I wanted to do with the ball when I received it, and it always took me where when I was trying to close down, lad, he knew where he was going in a split second. Where I was always that 4 or 5 seconds.
No insight into body shape or anything
no,
like that.
And I didn't know. I remember they were doing like they're saying like the dog's leg, and I'm like, what are they on about dog's leg? Like, do you know what I mean? And then you're getting nervous about shape. Like most people get nervous in a match. I'm nervous in training. Ask me where should you be stood now? And I'm there going, there was no YouTube back then to look up where left winger should be. So I was, I probably started on the back foot a little bit, and I was extremely homesick. So the kind of the transition to being going from fourth year to nearly a professional footballer as in full-time football was a huge one for me, and I found it extremely difficult. Yeah,
but make no mistake, when you're at Liverpool, you're treated professionally, like I'd say. Any Premier League team, you're not going in as, I'm only coming from fourth year to I'm still 15 or 16 years of age. It's a professional setup.
Yeah.
Oh, they expect you to be
no matter what age you
hit the ground running. There's no excuses, and to be fair, they give you everything to hit the ground running.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't have an excuse, but you are a model college in the sense of the environment you're in. Your meals every day. If you you're chauffeured to and from the training ground, you're well looked after. Like
they don't care about your contract.
No,
your contract could be for a day. You're still being treated as the same as every other professional in that club for that day.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Tell me, when you're kind of winding down on you won a Youth Cup, right?
Yeah, I was part of that. The thing, I was actually injured for the final, whether I would have played or not, probably not, but I probably would have been involved. Yeah. But I was injured for the one at Old Trafford, because that would have been my first year. So the second year scholar, so then they kind of would have had most of the squad because they won it the year before as well. So, but we won at Old Trafford, funny enough, and I actually got caught on Sky singing "You Never Walk Alone" by the lads back home. I got it. Yeah, I got it.
And what kind of players in this Liverpool team?
So it would have been. It's Jay Spearing there now. He's coach of the Liverpool under-18s.
Dave Thompson there.
Who was it?
David Thompson, no?
No, he would be no. Actually,
a little bit older, is he?
Davey used to come back, believe it or not, when my second and third year, Davey a good bit older than me, but he used to come back and train with us. He didn't have a club. Yeah. And he used to come back and train with the academy team, believe it or not.
Did he? Yeah.
Lovely fella. Yeah. Lovely, beautiful player as well.
Yeah,
lovely fella. Lovely fella. But Dave would have been a bit older than me. Stephen Darby would have been there. A couple of foreign lads that went elsewhere, but there was no one that would have. Like Martin Kelly now.
Martin Kelly would have been the best of them,
the one who probably would have reached the highest level.
He was, he played full-back centre-half, sort of. He went to Palestine, I think, in the end, but he was regarded as the up-and-coming centre-half, and he just didn't make it. He just got injured a bit as well.
Injuries killed it. But I mean, tell you how good he was is that my whole time in Liverpool, he was nearly injured for the whole time. He'd a stress fracture in his back.
Wow.
Did he? Yeah.
So he literally couldn't play, and he's still. That's how good he was. That they just knew he was like. He was
a big unit, wasn't he?
Yeah. But I think that's maybe what kind of got him his injuries, because he was so big. But he had a stress fracture. I think he twice at a young age in his back.
Wow.
But I remember he broke through, and then he got to move. And I remember watching a match one time when I was at home. I was gone from England at the time. I remember him running down the ring against West Ham, and he tore his hamstring running down the wing. He had no luck. Yeah. He had no luck. And he still, to be fair, made a good career for himself.
He did, yeah. He did all right, yeah.
When you mentioned outside there that it was Benitez's time, right?
Yes.
And Highway was the kind of youths.
Yeah.
And there was no relationship there at all between Highway and Benitez. Could you see that sure, what's the point?
No, to be honest with you, whatever slim hope I might have. Now, cause where I would have been unique is that I was playing, they after my first year, they kind of wanted to see me as a left back.
Yeah.
So I was playing a lot of games left back. That's where my position was, left back, to be honest with you. And I was doing quite well because I actually thrived on coming onto the ball.
Arriving late.
Instead of younger.
Being on it and creating, sort of.
Yeah, because my spatial awareness was so poor in England that every time I tried to turn, there was someone around me. I wasn't recognising space. To be honest, I wasn't getting coached either. No one had spotted that was my weakness. It's only looking back myself. I'm kind of understanding my game myself a bit better now.
Well, if your spatial awareness is a weak point in you.
I was awful.
As a
left
left back or right back, it suits you down the round.
Yeah, so
the whole game is in front of you. Like.
Exactly. So
and you're good in the ball, obviously. So
even then, when I was coming onto the ball, I was much more effective in games. I was getting down the wing. I was getting balls in the box or assist. And then because I was a natural left winger, now because I'm able to front up my opponent, I'm able to go past them a lot more, and they're probably thinking, "Where's this Philippine?" Like I'm getting a lot more joy playing left back. So any hope I had was now left back is kind of a unique spot. So like I only had this Insua ahead of me, and I thought
Jimmy Chora was there.
Yeah. So I might have had a sliver.
They weren't great, like,
a sliver
like
of chance.
in that men's team. Like,
yeah. So I thought, look, if there's any chance, maybe there's a hope there. But to be honest, like Benitez, he had no time for the academy when Steve was there. So he kind of, I think I was saying to earlier, about 42 lads on the reserves. Then there was the academy lads. Then there was the first team. So like I'm trying to jump all these, get into just a group of 40 to then try and get into the first team. Yeah. But Benitez wasn't looking at anyone but lads in Melwood. He was the only lads they were looking at because he didn't like Steve, so he would come nowhere near the place because of that relationship with Steve. But then he ended up getting rid of Steve, and we had won the club had won 2 U Cups in a row. And then they brought in this fella called Pete Hamburg, a Dutch fella. And I'll tell you now, what he brought into play was one of the maddest things. And when I tell people about it, they don't believe it. And I tell you now, it's the gospel truth. He came in, he thought, right, what you've done for 2 years obviously hasn't worked because you've only won 2 U Cups. So it hasn't worked. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn you upside down. We're going to do 4 sessions a day for 30 minutes only, but you have to have a 2-hour break between each session. So I want everyone in the training ground by 6 a.m. Wow. Your first session is at 7 to half 7. You will then go and have a 2-hour break, right? Have whatever breakfast. At 10 a.m, we're going to do another session. 10 to half 10. Have another 2-hour break, but it was actually 1 o'clock by the time we came back out because it would be your long one. 1 o'clock then, 2 hours to half 1. Then you go back in again. 2 hours later, back out again, 3:30, 4 o'clock for your last half an hour. Then you go in and do your little, because we used to have a book every day, you'd fill out how you got on. It was kind of for your college work over there. So it was like 6, half 6 when we were leaving. Training ground every day.
6 to 6.
Yeah.
2-hour session lasting 12 hours.
We were doing 4 sessions a day for 30 minutes only. So, but there was a theme for each one. So obviously, because they're Dutch, they're a lot based on one-on-ones.
Yeah.
A lot of mastery. Ball mastery to an extent, but a lot of dribbling stuff. It wasn't actually teaching the actually ball mastery skills, because I suppose they're probably saying you should know that by then. But it was a lot of working on imaginary cones, turning, different kind of turns, stuff like that. Then you do 1v1s maybe in the next session against someone. You might do a passing drill for a half an hour, which has different elements to it, like 3 or 4 progressions. Your last one of the day will be small-sided games. You do a cross and finishing drill maybe another time. So it'd all be a team. A gym session might be another one. Plyometrics might be another one. It'd be all different base anyway. And he done that for 6 months. We got knocked out of the U Cup and changed it. Changed it back around again, back to what we were doing.
Where did he come from?
He came from Holland. I don't know. Pete Hamburg and Jan.
I've never heard that model in my life.
I don't know to have a name.
No.
They had they used to come in as well. We had I think this was a popular one, right? You know, where they'd hook up all the beams there, it was like I can't remember the name.
Oh, the electro pads.
It would check how you were feeling each day, whether you got enough rest, recovery, all that kind of stuff. So if you came in and this machine was saying that you were tired, wonder I am. It's 6:30 in the morning. You know what I mean?
Around like an idiot.
So they'd be giving out to you saying you're not rested enough. I go, what do you mean? Like, what are you going to bed, leave me alone? So, but you'd have lads in the like to be sleeping all over the place in the morning before the first session. There'd be bodies everywhere. You know, trying to get an extra. Like, you come in, do your thing, and you'd be asleep somewhere. You find people on the pool table, like.
Yeah, but he's not only bringing things over from a football sense. Like, that's a cultural change.
Oh, huge.
Like that screams Ajax to me now, or Feyenoord or something.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like that.
Dutch only, sure.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
You know, it didn't. 6 months.
Yeah.
And the thing was, then for breakfast, he was giving us a fry every day.
Yeah.
Sure, we were delighted getting.
Well, on second thoughts, it might be too bad.
But rations, because obviously you'd meet 3 hours before the game, even on a Saturday, and like my beans on toast was always my thing. Maybe boiled eggs if they were there with it. And then there's rasher sandwiches, and you're like, you know, like,
What's the story
You'd
there?
love one, but can I eat
yeah,
that?
yeah, but like that's what he's putting on.
Yeah.
Like, you'd be asking for beans, you're like, why have some beans for? Because you know,
That is seismic, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's a
it
massive
just-
shift. Like,
yeah, it was just and to be fair, like we got knocked out by to Sunderland actually that year. I think Dave Myler was playing, and a good friend of mine, Jack Holbeck, was playing as well. And it was only afterwards I found out Jack was playing. But like they knocked us out, I think in the 4th round, maybe. I think we only won 1, maybe 2 rounds, and like it was. But like everything we had done before that had worked. You know, because the U Cup was what you're really going for. That's your whole thing.
massive in England.
Yeah.
Was this Benitez's man to come in so he could work
I
with the
think
youth
so.
system?
I think so. Yeah,
And it just failed.
oh, hugely. I
But
think.
Did you ever hear Gerrard speaking about Benitez? He said tactically, probably the best manager I've ever worked under, but manners wise and trying to talk to him, worst ever. I had no relationship with the man whatsoever.
Yeah, you believe because the few times I was there, you'd see that dynamic. If you would, with the like, particularly like I remember like Gerrard, Carragher, all them lads, Alonso even, they were all really nice. But like, say if you met Mascherano, Benitez, like they just weren't. You could just tell, you know, their demeanour was straight away. They would like shut off from you, like you know, you'd hold the door open for you. Mascherano, they show it in your face, like.
Yeah, I say,
You know, and Benitez would like when you were a kid there walking through the corridor, you'd be like, oh, that's Benitez. Like, he wouldn't even like. You think if you were a manager of the club, you'd stop, say, how are things? Are you up for the day? Like, does he know you were?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't even acknowledge
Sure,
it.
see, he's interested to find out younger players, isn't it?
No.
And see how good they are.
No, see, they'd be fast tracked through by the reserves, and they just go straight with them. You'd have no interest, because you're not even on the radar, not even close to being looking at. Like, even if you weren't, you still think, how are things? How are we getting on? And where are you down? You know what I mean? Just a small, even a hello.
I remember them two. You said you're playing left back. Them 2 players, Jimmy Traore and Manuel Nsue. I still can't remember them putting 3 games together. Like good games together. Honest to God.
The 2 of them
And
Champions League medals.
Jimmy Traore played anyway.
Yeah, and they
Cleared
brought in
one
your
off the
man.
line.
Was that, yeah,
Remember that?
Yeah.
Off
And I
the
think it was
line.
Aurelio as well came in that time.
Aurelio
Yeah,
was
Senna maybe at some stage.
Yeah.
Yeah. No
Aurelio
one that
was
was like.
brilliant on the ball, great free kick taker.
Yeah.
But if you're a fast winger, you're skinning them like.
There was no one there that, like, when you look back, think like they were an established player.
Honest to
and,
God.
and to be honest with you, I would have been quite forward think. I often think when I look, no, not that I was ever of the level, but like I often think I was an attacking fullback.
Yeah.
If I was left go, even under Keane when I played first team further down the line, like if I was left go, I was probably ahead of my time a little bit.
Yeah.
Where they because they still wanted
overlapping
you,
fullback.
they still wanted you in shape, like you
Yeah.
know, like if you
Forward
got
to back.
1-0 up in the game, but like, oh, we'd hold our shape here, don't
Yeah.
be venturing.
Yeah.
Do you know, that kind of way where I probably was a little bit ahead of my time. Never good enough to play Premier League, but I would have been small bit
You wouldn't
too
know, no,
adventurous,
yeah.
like, you know.
Would you think? Do you know what's funny when you're talking about the volumes of players in the academy, right? And you said there's 40 odd of you in around that kind of setup. Like, is there any belief that lads are like, I'm definitely getting into the first team, or is it just more of like, well, look, if I don't get in here, I'm going to go to a championship club, or I'll get into a bottom half Premier League club, or do you know?
At Liverpool, there's lads there that they 100% believe they will, like, particularly maybe lads they brought over on contracts in Spain and all that.
Yeah.
I knew full well that 5 minutes in the building I wasn't making it there. I knew, like,
You knew straight away.
I knew I was never. Not that I gave up on the dream. I always still hoped.
Yeah.
But like I knew I was never, like, as I said earlier, like when I was leaving, I was 6 months. 6 months time, I was saying to my dad, I'm going to be playing Anfield. I'm going to be Liverpool's like number 3, you know, 11, or I'm going to be banging in goals. That kind of way. Where I knew, I just knew I was way off any of these lads. But obviously, my dream was to be a professional footballer. So I was trying to figure out how I was going.
Where's next?
Yeah. You know, and I was doing really well for Ireland. I remember I got man of the match in a game up against Italy, and Liam Brady was there actually.
Is this
and
21s?
No, this would have been. No, this was only under 17s.
17s,
It was
okay.
before our
Gotcha.
European Championships. Because we were in the second phase. We were going to Germany,
Yeah.
actually against Tony Kroos's team, believe it or not.
Oh.
And I was playing Italy, and it was just a friendly game. And Liam Brady, remember, he was talking about me on the radio, and he was saying like, this fella's going to be. And I remember Reading were there, and this was only 6 months into my Liverpool time, and I was trying.
Was he?
I was trying to get out to
Was he a
Reading.
scout with Arsenal at the time?
He's
Really?
a youth development officer.
Youth
right?
development
I
officer,
think
was he?
he
Yeah.
was still involved there at
Yeah.
something, like, you know. But I remember Reading, there was a Reading fella there, and he approached me kind of just saying, oh, well done, whatever. And I remember, like, I was like, get me to Reading. Like, I was trying to literally manufacture.
But you were very mature though, weren't you, to think that, like, hey, I'm only doing this to get somewhere else. Do you know what I mean? Even at Liverpool.
At that age, yeah.
Yeah. Like, do you know, it's,
Yeah, I knew, but like I wasn't involved in the early U Cup. Like, 'cause actually that Italian game, believe it or not, there was me, Mikey, and a fella called Lawrence, and they had a U Cup game against Sheffield United that week, and they didn't let the lads go because they had him in the squad, and they let me go to the game. But then when I came back, they were all about me because everyone was talking, whatever. Like
Yeah.
they heard such good reports, and they
Yeah.
put me in the next one then. And I was thinking, you know, but I tell you, like, I know we're on about confidence, but I tell you how much I was afraid of Liverpool. That Italian game, obviously I was on set pieces on the left side, and I remember we were doing swing. Sean McCaffrey was the manager of this team.
Yeah.
So I was doing set pieces and I was whipping them in. Sean was like, put it here, put it there. I tell you now, I felt like Beckham. Wherever he asked me to put it in training, I was putting it. And one of the ones we actually worked on, a free kick, I whipped it in, and Garrett Matthews, a fella, headed in back post, and we actually done that for the goal in the game. But what had my being a ball a little bit is Sean brought in another left footer which he'd never done before, and he said this fella will play the second game just to see what he's like. And I got my being a ball and he goes, he's not going to play over me, like, because I was always established with her.
Yeah.
So I think that actually gave me up the backside to play a little better, like. So, but I remember my set piece was unbelievable. And about 3 weeks later, I was back in Liverpool and we were getting ready for Newcastle away in the U Cup.
Yeah.
And they asked me to go out and take corners. I was crossing them out of play before they got into the box. Couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I remember one of the other lads came home and just relaxed. I couldn't do it. What they were asking me to do was, and if they saw me 3 weeks earlier now, I was like a fella $1 million.
Yeah.
I could have put the ball anywhere you wanted. They were saying whip it in and put it at the edge of the box. There was one I crossed. I actually don't think it came off the ground and rolled out for a goal.
No way.
I swear.
Pure confidence.
I was so maybe intimidated by him.
Yeah,
I
gotcha.
I felt that small by him, really, and I just wasn't able to do it. I remember doing crossing finishing drills, and the lads, to be fair, I'm not saying they were bullies, but they were like they'd hard. Like the two other lads that were playing left side would put you down. Like they were like, it's gonna be a crap cross there now. You're not gonna be like. And I remember one of the crossing drills. I remember, and it was used. Like I kept trying to put him along the floor then. And then obviously that's the handbrake on, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You have the
yeah.
handbrake on, putting them across the floor.
Of course, yeah.
And the coach is saying to you, can you lift a couple back posts, lift a couple. So then you can't, like, you're putting them either over the crossbar, or you're cutting them behind, or you're lifting it, to the keeper's hands.
Cross them over
and
the
then
crossbar.
you're coming back, and the lads are coming back and they're hammering you. Actually, one of them actually said leave him off now because he's doing that bad. Just himself. Like. But I remember I couldn't. My confidence had really gone at Liverpool, and unfortunately for me, I was one of them people that I couldn't really get it back because it happened later in my career. I wasn't able to turn it around. I couldn't do it, and I suppose it's particularly in Liverpool as well. They don't really care. They're just going to look after the lads who are showing it, which is fair enough, because they probably just want to get through the lads who are really flourishing. They think you're not good enough, you'll be gone at the end of your contract, and that's you over the gap.
Come here, go back to McCaffrey. How good was he?
I actually really like Sean. I had a few run-ins with him, to be honest with you, because he was a little hard on, maybe because I was able to take it, but he was a little hard on me sometimes, and I used to be questioning him a small bit because he used to be looking after the younger lads, and I'd be like, do you know what I mean? You say nothing to them and you're hammering us, like. And particularly the Dublin lads, I don't mind saying it because I say it to all the Dubs. You're well looked after, not the Cork lads, like, or the lads down from down our way. So I felt he was a bit harder on us than he was the other lads, but I found Sean brilliant. Like, he tried to get me to Dundalk when I first came back. Thought he was a real good guy. He was, to be fair, whatever I'd say, he was really fair and he looked after everybody. He loved this. I remember he's always tell the story about a dog and a bone. Pre-match, I remember we were winding him up, saying, you can't have to change your story up here, Sean. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he used to play this Irish trad music for, if you're on a bus for 6 hours, it's on for 6 hours. Like, so he used to be going off for a game. But he was really good, like, and he used to give us that little. He used to say, lads, bed by 9. When you're finished your last games, you go bed by 9. I won't be leaving my room from 9, and that was his. Go out for a couple hours there, lads.
Yeah.
That was his thing. Like, I won't be coming outside my door, but everyone's in bed at 9.
Yeah,
he's there telling us what to do. What we do is up to ourselves.
Yeah, a lot of lads. He's passed since, right?
Yeah.
A lot of lads spoke very, very highly of him. In the juvenile, say, coaches and things like that he was actually a bit ahead of his time. Like, so, but I never spoke to anyone who played under him.
Yeah.
But he was a good coach, though.
Yeah, well, obviously because he had the leg, he had the wooden leg. That really hindered him.
No demonstrating.
Like, really hindered him because even trying to do set pieces, like, I remember he just wasn't able to probably put across all the views he wanted. Now, and one thing I will say about Sean is that he was the one who really got me into my shape. Because when we went away with Ireland, he was really diligent on stop and play, and because of his leg, he was so slow and methodical in where he wanted people to be.
Yeah.
And that was how I actually learned where to be on a football pitch. Was through him.
Sean, yeah.
I've heard that about him. I have heard that his detail and phase and things like that was unbelievable. Like, he'd literally tell the player, like, here's where I want you to be for first phase, second phase, third. Like, actually put cones on the field of where he wants lads.
I've used that because of him.
Have you done it?
Yeah, I've used it because of him, because I think it's so clear
Yeah.
in where you need to be.
Yeah.
That, you're giving everyone every chance to be, and if they don't understand, you can go back and you can just put a ball in a certain place, and then you're using the cones as markers. I just thought it was so simple, but it works.
Yeah, it's
you know what I mean?
genius.
And you don't need to change it. Like,
Yeah, it's genius. Yeah. Back to Liverpool. So, how do you end up signing for Roy Keane in Ipswich?
Yeah, so enter Roy into my life. Good, bad, and the ugly. So he,
Which is he?
well,
3 of them.
he is 3 of them actually. Yeah. So obviously my early thing with Roy, I was saying to you earlier, is that I was quite homesick when I first went over. So we were lucky where his mum lived close to where my nan lived, and she ended up getting my number across to Roy, and he rang me when I was playing in my digs, the young lad in the digs one night, and I private number ring the phone. Hello, who's this? It's Roy Keane. F off, like, thought my Uncle Jason, he'd done this before, not Roy Keane, like, do you know what I mean? Like, and I'm ready to hang up the phone.
You don't believe it, do you?
He's going to say, oh no, it's Roy, you're a bit homesick, and I'm like, I'll give it, yeah, okay, and then I was like, oh, shit, Roy Keane, like, running upstairs to my room so no one could talk, I could hear him, and he's saying, look, I know you're a bit homesick, but obviously I'll be worth it. That was my first kind of introduction to Roy. Again, that was probably, I didn't speak to him for about 1.5 years after that, and I was home it was over Christmas or January, around that time anyway, and I knew it was I ended up getting the 3rd year scholar in Liverpool, but that was mainly because I was good when I was there, as in regards I'd look after myself, I'd look after the people, I was never in any trouble. So that was basically a year for me to get into the club. It wasn't a year for me to stay in Liverpool. That was a year for me to go and try and sort myself out, like, which they were very good to give me, in fairness. So I was coming kind of January, February, and I was like, how am I going to think? So I was like, fuck it, I'll try and chance Roy here, like, because he just left Sunderland, and I was going to try and angle, maybe he knows someone, maybe something, whatever. So I ended up, when I was home, I drove out to his mum's house, told his mum the story, and I said, look, can I just give him my number, and if he can contact me, it'd be great. So in fairness to him, he rang me and he said, come down to my house in Manchester, we'll have a chat, and this, that and the other. So I went down to his house in Manchester. Like, I remember he said, be here for maybe 5:30. I was there about 3 o'clock, so I'm not being late.
Not for him anyway.
I'm not looking at traffic, I'm not being late. So I was there, I was in the village for ages, and about 5:20, I was just texting him while I'm here. And I got to the house, he goes, are you just here? He goes, no, I'm here about 2 hours. He goes, why didn't you tell me? He goes, you told me you're here 5:30. I was going to text you at 3 o'clock. I'm standing outside your house. Yeah. So he was like, no, you could have came earlier or whatever. But he was lovely fella. I remember the Six Nations was on. It was a Friday night, the Six Nations was on. Trying a Goodfellas pizza for me, as I said. And then we went down into this kind of the back part of his house there, and I remember a telly coming out of the cabinet, and we were having a game of snooker. And I think it was 2 games to play, but the first game we were playing, there was a red there, and I was thinking, like, if I pot this now, I'm going to win. There was only a couple more. So I got to win it, and I missed it on purpose, like. And
no, I wouldn't do that. You can't do that.
I'm in his house. The look he gave me. Are we playing? If we're playing. Like, if we're playing. Like, don't be taking the. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, all right, okay, yeah. Now, what happened is he ended up winning that one. I won the second one, and we said, look, we'll call it quits there now, because I'll probably get a snooker cue off me head in the third game. So we ended up calling it quits, and we went into kind of maybe a lounge area, and we were just having a chat, really, and he was kind of asking me about, Liverpool, and the one thing that struck me was there was nothing in the house. There was no medals. I kind of just said, look, there's no. Well, I imagine seeing a Premier League medal would have been amazing, like, wouldn't it? But he said they're all locked away. He doesn't want his kids to be seeing any of that kind of stuff. There was nothing out, nothing. So I was like, okay, fair enough. The one question they'd ask him was like, oh, what happened with Sunderland or whatever? And he was like, I was driving up to the reserve game. They weren't doing well, and I was driving up to the reserve game, and the chairman rang him, and he was like, we're not doing well. Maybe if you came up a bit more at the training ground and whatever. And he said, who are you to tell me to do my effing job? Put the phone, drove around, and went home. And that was it. That was it. That was him done from Sunderland. And and I was like, fairness, like, he was only asking you to go into work, like, do you know what I mean? But and I was, right, you're spot on there, doing the same thing, like, But he was, but that kind of, to be fair, domino down to Ipswich. Then when he did take the Ipswich job, he moved down. So he did, and he did set a 45-minute radius around players to live within that as well. Like.
All right, yeah.
So he did actually bring that with him. But what happened then was he wasn't at obviously any club at the time. But what he did say to me was, if I ever get a job, you can come down and have a trial, or we'll see what, because he wouldn't have really seen me play. He wouldn't know me from Adam. So the way it transpired is that it was coming to the end of my Liverpool contract, and I don't know what blind faith I had, but I was like, someone's going to give him a job. I just knew he was going to get a job, and he was really heavily linked. I think it was QPR at the time. And believe it or not, my Uncle Jason did ring me then and say, I'm after getting the QPR job and come over on trial. And he was lying. He ended up going to Ipswich anyway. And as soon he must have got the Ipswich job a day. Remember he was on the Late Late Show on the Thursday or Friday.
Yeah.
And I texted him literally, I'd say when he was on the Late Late Show or the day after. And he texted me back about 3 or 4 days later and he said, we're in on the 1st of July or 2nd of July, whatever it was. I'll sort the PA out and come over on trial for 2 weeks. I mean, truth to his word, like, in fairness to him, you know what I mean? Like not many people maybe would have been. He was brand new in the job. He had no loyalty to me, you know. And in fairness to him, I got that message, and to be fair, I worked. I trained away myself. I was back home for maybe 2 months, trained away, and I went over there on the 1st of July. And the one thing I had when I went over there that I never had in Liverpool was just this air of I'm going. This is my chance here. Second I stepped in there, I was training with the first team. I remember he stopped training one time. It was a Sunday. He stopped training, and he hit everyone around me. And he said, "See this fella here? He's the only fella here without a contract. He's the only fella here that's showing any sort of ability." But I was good, to be fair, like, because we were doing a lot of possession stuff, and I was quite good in possession with keeping the ball, particularly because I'd have to move to left back. I could see everything. I wasn't really going in the middle. I was staying on the periphery on the outside. So when the ball was coming to me, I was able to bounce past 1-2, particularly from left back. You know, you're doing a lot of 1-2s or whatever. So that had still been a good stead when I got to here. And I was flying in trials, and they had me left in field. I was playing reserve games when they went away. I think I had 5 goals in 3 games. I got a hat trick in 1.
From left back?
No, they had me in left mid. And so I was flying, like, and I came to. I remember that my 2 weeks was up, and I was sitting in the physio room, like, and I was like, "What am I going to do here? Am I going home or what?" Like, you know. And so in came the reserve manager. Said to me, he was like, I was like, "Do I go home?" He was like, "You're going nowhere, boy."
Go ahead.
He goes, "Oh, thank God." So he goes, "Go back to the hotel. We'll sort that out." And when the boys are back from pre-season, and, you know, Roy will have a chat with you about a contract. So I was like, you know,
some feeling.
The relief, you know.
No agent at the time?
No, I did. I think I'll come back to the agent one. Yeah, I had an agent that was Red Raw Useless. My second agent was Red Raw Useless. Before I had a third
Red Raw Useless.
Before I had a third Red Raw Useless agent. But I done all this myself. My agent, believe it or not, was Ian Stapleton's son. He was running a company. Frank Stapleton was his name. Yeah. No, Frank Stapleton.
Frank Stapleton.
Frank Stapleton's son.
Yeah. So he was actually part of a group that was agent, and could meet a fella who'd do less for you. So so he actually rang me up when I got my contract. When he heard I was going there, he was like, "Oh, great, you could be the Euros." I goes, "What's this fella ringing me for?" Like, you know. Yeah. So but I remember sitting in my conversation with Roy, like, and I remember going, I'm going to have a little go back here now. Like, he's going to offer me something, I'm going to go back with something. We're going to have a little bit of thing. Sat down and he goes, €700 a week. It's a good reserve contract for Ipswich, like, you know. Obviously Liverpool lads run like $3,000 for a reserve contract. So I'm like, you know, I'm living on my own. No, it's €700. Do you want to go home? 700 is?
Yeah. No messing there.
But he was like, if you play in the first team, you get, I think it was 500 for being on the bench and 1,000 for playing. So I was like, oh, look, you know, there's an incentive, you know, getting the first team, and you know, you'll get extra money or whatever. So I was like, yeah, great. So I ended up signing, and within about 2 months, I remember my first game in the first team was actually away at Charlton in a pre-season friendly, and sorry, it wasn't. My first game was, but actually, this will tell you the madness of the man. Actually, I'm going to leave this part out, but I forgot about it. We came on a pre-season tour. So I just signed my contract, and he said, what we're going to do, we're going to go on a pre-season tour to Ireland, because they went to Sweden, but they were coming to Ireland for 2 games. Yeah. They're playing Waterford on a Friday and Cork on a Sunday. So I was part of this travelling squad. So I was buzzing, like. So on the Friday, we travelled over, we flew into Cork, drove down to Waterford for a Friday night game. I played the first half, came off at half time. Done okay, didn't do great, but didn't do poorly or anything. You know, it was just, we were the better team, it was grand, like. Got taken off at half time and thinking, then we trained Turner's Cross on a Saturday, thinking, I'm set up here. Probably won't start Sunday, but I'll come on, because this would have been the marquee game for Roy. Like, I'm definitely coming on. So on Sunday anyway, I'm on the bench. I have everybody, me cousin there. Anyone that I came across, even if I passed them on the street growing up, they were there. Everybody was there. Didn't get a minute.
Did you not?
Not a minute. Imagine, like, what
hometown hero.
What is your thinking there?
We on the bench, like,
we're sitting on the bench. We lost 2-0 now.
No.
But what is your thinking there? if you're the
Yeah,
manager and you're turning around a Cork fella sitting on the bench, right?
Yeah.
And you go, well, everyone, nah, leave him there.
Yeah.
You know?
that's mental.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, and then I'm leaving after the game, and I'm getting grief off all Cork kids, like, going, you're useless English. I go, what are you? Do you remember I'm actually going home now? And I remember thinking, what is he thinking here? Like, you know, now he killed the lads after the game, like, because they lost 2-0. He was like, I can't even leave Cork here, embarrassed in my life. So, you know, it was embarrassed to be like, the lads were poor.
Man.
We lost 2-0. But yeah, he never brought me on. I was like, what's he thinking here? But then I played Charlton in my first game in England, and I gave away a penalty. It was just this diag, John Joe Shelby. I'll never forget it. It was a hard lesson to learn, like, because I tucked in too far, and the ball got played over my head, and this lad's first touch was money, straight past me. I've gotten wrong side of him. Alex Bruce was playing next to me. He wasn't getting back across. I panicked, brought down penalty. Your man scored. So it was in the first half. I remember Keane. It was my first hairdryer. I was scandalised. In a pre-season game against Charlton, I was scandalised. I was like, oh, there we go. Yeah, scandalised. Another fella had sore ribs. He goes, I hope they're broken, because if you're rolling around with ribs that aren't broken, you'll never play kicking the ball for me again. Hammering your man. And I'm there, oh, God. So, he's after, like, he, you know, it was a rude awakening. And then we were driving back on the bus, you know, the way he was playing on Sky, and then they're showing my pen. I'm like, oh, God.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, God, like, showing away a penalty. First induction into real football now. Like, everyone in the world can see that you have to give away a penalty. It's not just your man down the road. Like, so no, I was lucky. I played a Carling Cup game. Dunwell came on. We came back from 3-3. And I played a couple of games, but then I had hurt my knee in training. I was out for about 2.5 months. I done my medial, so I was out for about 2.5 months, 3 months. He was about till Christmas time. So I was training with David Norris, another lad who'd done his cartilage in the first game of the season away, and Ben Thatcher, who's coming to the end of his career. Yeah. Really good guy. Really good.
Man City.
The only reason I bring him up is because it'll bring me back to the agent thing. So Ben Thatcher was a really good guy. At the start, me and him didn't really get on, because he is one of the funniest men you'll ever meet, but you feel like he's picking on you, but he's really character building. Because he's coming for you, and he kept coming for me. I was like, what is this fella's problem? And I used to go back at him, and I think that's why he kept coming for me, because I was going back at him, kind of thing, you know, because he probably he thought I could take it, but really I was like, leave me alone, we're going to cry here. But because we were injured, we were really together, and because we had knee injuries, our physio was kind of similar.
He was a left foot as well, sure, wasn't he?
Left foot as well, yeah. But he was never keen. Despised him with every beat of his body. This man was hated. He took him out of the first team dressing room, put him in the dressing room on his own, in the shower area. His kit was hanging on his own every day. You'd pass it there, he was sitting there with his newspaper out. All right, Jesus, you know what I mean? Happy out. Couldn't care less, because he was just running down. He was doing his job, coming in. He wasn't able to play. It wasn't like his knee was genuinely bad. So, but the thing was, Keane didn't like Ben. But the problem was, like, if you were injured, you're run to the litter. Like, your first one's in, your last one's to go. You're 7 days a week. There's no days off. You're injured. You're every day. Like, you're trying to get back to play. So even if you're out for 6 months, you're every day of the week. Jesus. You know, maybe if like with Chucky done his knee at the time, he maybe got a couple weeks off at the start because you know, surgery and whatnot. But you are every day of the week, and you're first in. If you're not first in, you know, you're getting fined. You don't be in. That's it. You're being by 8, and you can leave about 2:30. Everyone else is home already. But he was very tough that way. But I was friends with Ben. And I think he maybe see I was friendly with Ben, because we might go, Ben, you stay up from London sometimes, and not a lot, but he used maybe once a week. And I used to go for dinner with him, or just every now and then, or lunch or whatever. So you see, I've gotten getting friends with Ben, and he pulled me aside one day and he said, "You're not to be friends with him. Like, you're not to be friends with him." I'm kind of like, it's difficult. Like, we're, you know, in physio room. You know, obviously I'm not answering back, right? But I'm like, yeah, okay, no problem. Yeah. So
jeez, you must have really hated him.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, but see, thing was, Ben wouldn't. Like, Ben was very strong character himself. I mean, Ben's been there and done it all. He played Premier League all his life from Wimbledon. He was with the crazy gang in Wimbledon, like, you know what I mean? So he was no fair to Ben, like. No. So he was well able, like, and he didn't care. Couldn't care less. It was last year. He was running down his contract anyway. So, but one day, I was in the canteen. It was just me and Ben, and none of the U team lads were in yet. It must have been the day off for the first team, and I'm sitting I'm gone up making 2 cups of tea, like, and Roy comes into the canteen. Who's that other cup of tea for? I said, but Ben, you know, I'm gone slurred and everything. Yeah. I know what was coming. Like, he said, "You're not sitting next to him." So I've gone, right, we're the only 2 in the canteen. No, plus Roy, we're 3 in the canteen. So I pick up the 2 cups of tea, walk back down to the table. I put Ben's tea on his desk, and I pick up my toast, and I sit now back to back from Ben. So Ben is facing the door. My chair is after facing Ben, and for whatever reason, my chair is facing directly at Roy. So he's down the end of the canteen, and I'm just like, please, just don't say that in here, no, like, just let it go. He turns around, is there a smell off me or something, geezer? And I'm like, and he turns around, I was like, maybe he hasn't seen Roy, maybe he's just going to turn back. No, of course he's not. Picks his stuff up, puts it down next to me, and now he's kind of has his chair, the slant facing me, giggling his head off. And to be fair, and he starts talking away, and for about 2 or 3 minutes we were sitting there, like, and I'm kind of my toast looking up, and like, you just see him staring at me, staring down the canteen at me. Smack gets up, breaks. Was it a table or was it something? Anyway, fist through the table, walks out of the canteen, and I'm like, why did you do that? Like, you knew full well, because I was after telling Ben that I wasn't, maybe, like, you know, we have to box ever. I can't really be seen with you on my own in the training ground, like. Yeah. And he was like, yeah, I know that, but the way he's a FNC, like, do what you want, geezer, like, you know, that kind of way. And I was like, you know, I'm only 18, Ben, like, you're 35, like, you know what you want,
yeah, I know, yeah.
So but Ben looked after me, brought me down to his house. He was a really good guy to me, like, genuinely. We went there a couple of nights out, really, really good guy. But the reason I bring up Ben is because at the end of that season, I was after breaking into the first team, playing a good few games, and
still on £700 a week.
Still on £700 a week, playing over guys on $5 and $10 grand a week, by the way. And so I'm thinking I'm going to get a good deal here. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is like, in my head, I'm thinking I'm on the ladder here. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not after making. I suppose I've told myself I made it, but I knew I was onto something. Like, there was no more struggling. Like, my car got repossessed in the August because I wasn't making the payments on it. Like, I remember I'm knocking on the door in August time when I got to Ipswich. Like, they were ringing the bell and looked out. I could see him getting towed away in the van. I was hiding behind the door.
No way.
Car repossessed, gone. Went into the training ground. I remember went into the training ground then, and I told Roy about it. He goes, yeah, you didn't deserve the car.
He didn't deserve the car.
So why are you getting the car for? Because like, to be fair, over there it was like £300 a week, the car, because you can get any car really when you're a professional footballer. It's like, it's not like you're paying $700-800. It's like literally, you know, you take it for a while and give it back. So I wasn't even paying because I was only on £400 at Ipswich on my Liverpool in my third year. I was only on 700 here. So I wasn't, whatever it was, I never felt like I had any money, even £700 a week, because my bills, water bills over there. There was a council tax thing. I thought it was an optional payment. So no one told me. I was a year and a half over there. I owed them about $5 or $6 grand.
Oh my God.
I thought it was like, and then when they came chase me, I go, sure, I thought that was optional. I didn't know I had to pay that. Yeah. They were like, you're in class A, you own like whatever it was, a week or a month or whatever. It's like the club had to like sort it out. It's like, I don't know what that is. So I was completely like I was a fish out of water. I didn't know what I was doing. So they repossessed the car. So I remember I walked into training one time and I got there and he was like, yeah, it's good for you, good character building. It was an hour's walk, like, you know, because I forgot to ask anyone for a lift, and I should have got a taxi, but I was like, it was too stubborn, but it was too cheap at the time. And but then I ended up getting lifts in whatever I was sorted in. But so I had no car, like, so. But when I come to the end of the year now, so I'm coming to the end of the year and I'm saying to Snatch has become an agent, and Roy pulls us all in. I said, if any of you go with him, you won't kick a ball. You will not kick a ball. If any of you sign for him, you will not kick a ball. Now, I don't know if you remember Alan Quinn at all. He played for Sheffield United. Yeah. I remember I was in the car with Quinny.
Black Forge.
Yeah. I was in the... Yeah.
I fell against him.
Did you?
Did last year.
Is he
playing 35 from Black Forge, yeah.
Him and his brother, yeah.
What a guy, Quinn. Which brother?
Stephen.
Is
he?
Stephen playing up there too?
As well,
brother. Oh, go away.
Yeah. Fell against him last year. They were brilliant.
Stephen, another madman. He came down and you don't want to go out now with Quiddies. I tell you now, because you won't get home.
No.
Anyway, you won't get home. But Alan, what a guy. Like, what a guy. Like, he was just one of the funniest guys you'd ever meet in your life. So I was in the car with him one day. We don't know where we were going or doing something anyway. And Snatch rings, and who you in the car with? He goes, that little Irish Paddy, is it? You know what I mean? And I just, so which one is it? Me or Quinny? Or about? He's tiny as hell. Like, so he's hammering us anyway. He's like, I'm after getting my thing. He goes, I'll make you an Irish richest leprechaun ever to live by, like that to me. And I was like, absolutely, Snatch, like 100%. Like, I'll go with you, whatever it is. I knew he's going to look after me. I was with a couple of agents, and they didn't give me the time of day. Maybe because I wasn't worth the time of day, but they weren't even trying. Because when I was leaving Liverpool that time, they weren't even getting me trials.
Is this before Keane's announcement? Don't sign with this lad.
Is this what? No, oh no, yeah. So no, Snatch has told me. Yeah. So, however, then Keane has got wind of that. I don't know. He's got wind of Snatch becoming an agent. I don't know. Whoever's told him somehow through some grapevine somewhere. So he's pulled us all in, and he said whoever signs him's not getting the thing. And then I got a secondary. You're not signing with him.
Okay.
I was told under no circumstances you're not signing with him. So straight away then I'm a bit nervous. Now I remember
that's a tough situation to be in,
yeah,
isn't it?
Because one of my previous exes was actually John Moncur, former West Ham player.
West Ham player, yeah.
And again,
good midfielder, yeah.
Red Raw useless. Do nothing for you.
Was he?
Yeah. If you asked him now,
Red Raw useless. I'll use that again.
If you asked him for a glass of water, he'd probably give you a Pepsi just out of spite. You know what I mean? He just wouldn't give you what you wanted. So I just said, look, he was at the game because I done particularly well in my home debut against Cardiff, and I put a really good game together. We weren't conceding goals. I was getting far. I was doing really well, to be honest. I was doing well. I think I had one bad game, believe it or not, was against Forest. I'm going off context now a little bit, but it's a little funny story. We were playing Forest, and it was 0-0 at half time, and I was marking Nathan Tyson, and it was at the City ground, like, and geez, he was giving me a bit of a torrid time. He was getting past me, but he's no end product. Bless him.
Right.
Like I probably could have just put an armchair there, and he probably still wouldn't have done that with the ball. But he was making me look like I couldn't get near him. He was so fast and powerful. I couldn't get near him. So we got in at half time and Keane is hammering us. Now, to be fair, not all the City ground was still not a bad result at the time. Forest were actually going for the playoffs. We were trying to get a run, but we were a good bit off it, so we'd have to win nearly every game. But Forest actually got in the playoffs that year. But so it was good. Like, if we get down a lot, it would have been a good result. But Keane hammered me at half time. He goes, at least try and kick him, do something, anything. Swearing at me, giving me shots. Like, so my back is up. Like 30 seconds, set and a half. I'm just going to let him take that touch, and I'm just going to clean him out. So your man takes the touch past me. Oh, there we go. Bang! I absolutely crease him. Ref, yellow card. They cross the ball in goal. 30 seconds in the second half.
No way.
So we end up losing the game 3-0, right? I'm going in the game. I'm going, getting it now. Like, after the game, I'm going getting it.
Oh, yeah.
So he's going around person by person. Carlos Edwards, he brought on that day. He was sitting next to me, and I remember I had a chuckle because he goes to Carlos. He goes, Carlos, I bring you on. I brought you on to help us, not them. You were their best player, right? So I know I'm their best player. I know I'm next, like, so I'm kind of like, oh, you're trying not to break, like, so, oh, okay. And he gets to me, and I know you ventured forward and put a load of shy crosses in, but you know what? You did kick him. Well done. And I'm like, that's what put us 1-0 down.
Yeah.
That's why I was the one who put us 1-0 down to then domino the loss. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's saying, well, and I'm thinking, like, I'm the cause of the first goal. You know, and he's telling me, well done. Now he's hammering me in the same, but I'm like, his thinking wasn't there at all, like. And actually, before I go back to the other point, one of the best games we ever had under Roy, and this is the gospel truth, was we were playing Cardiff City at home, and we usually get to the games. If it's quarter day kickoff, we get there at 6:30, and we go upstairs and we watch a video or do team. We knew the team, so we were training in the morning of it, set pieces, so we knew who the team was. So we might do a bit on them or whatever. So we came in and we got in, and he said, no, lads, straight down to the dressing room. So we were like, grand, went down, quarter to 8. There was no sign of Roy. 10 past whatever time our warm-up was. We're going out for warm-up. Still no sign of Roy. Thinking, like, is he sick? Or, like, he was there this morning. Like, what's going on? So we went out for the warm-up, came back in. Still no sign of Roy. You get your sheets of who you're marking, what they're... Like, they give you a sheet of who you might...
Oh,
who you're
that
playing.
detail, yeah.
So I was marking your man Burke, the Scottish international. So they were saying, obviously, predominantly right-footed. No, I love football. So, like, I watch football morning, night. If you put it on all day, back then I'd watch it morning, night. Like, so I knew everything there was to know about him, like... Just because I was a football fan, so I knew what his strengths and weaknesses were. But he was like getting touted for a big move if Cardiff didn't go up. So I was like, yeah, grand, no problem. Giving me the list of his attributes and whatnot, but still no sign of Roy. So as we're going out to the match, he's always there to shake everyone's hand. As we're leaving the door, Roy's there shaking everyone's hand. We go out 2-0 up at half time. I think I assisted Darryl for one of them. We're 2-0 up at half time. Come back in again. Roy doesn't say a word. Sitting there having his cup of tea in the corner. We're all walking around. Tony, the assistant, said a few words. Nothing really, anything. Just do this, whatever. We're not going to make any changes. Yeah, work away. Went back out second half. We ended up winning 2-0. Came back in, and Roy said after the game, he was like, sometimes you don't need to say it at all. Just need to leave you at it, whatever. And then Roy left, and everyone was like, yeah, I've said nothing. I probably win every week. Because like he was nearly hammered. Like 15 minutes were listening. Did
he do that when you look at last games? Individualise everybody.
Oh, Cardiff.
Like the whole dressing room.
Every single
He's
person.
known for that.
Watford away, we lost 2-1 away from home. We were 1-0 down. Actually, if I remember correctly, I think I do. Do you know when you do a kickoff and you play the ball out, let's say, if you're a centre mid, you play it out wide. So Johnny used to play one side, and I can't remember who's the other side for that game. But you say, you kick the ball out wide to maybe get a knock on or get up the pitch early.
Yeah.
Now that you play back, you try and keep the ball back. Then you might try and get up the pitch and nothing. Like, so Owen Garv, another Dublin lad, he had kind of tough time under Roy, but he was playing this particular game. And I remember Roy saying to me, he goes, if you kick the ball out of play from a kick-off again, you're coming off. Like, so ball got back to Gars, kicked it. Must have been 20 seconds gone.
Took him off.
He took him off. I don't know if it was in the first minute, but it was definitely like first 10. He was gone, like off the pitch, centre midfielder gone, and he brought someone else on. I remember thinking like, what if Johnny didn't win the header? Or like it's not a particular the worst thing in the world. Like the ball's up there to show deep in their half. It's not the worst thing in the world, like, you know. But he was one of his pet hates. Don't do it, and he warned him. He done it. He took him off. So, but whatever. We went 1-0 down, and we actually for our goal. Actually, I remember it was kind of off the cuff. I usually stay back, but there was no one marking the edge of the box, so I sprinted forward. The ball got crossed to me. I dinked it into, I think it was Jack, and Jack knocked it down there 1-1, and we were all buzzing 1-1. And then we were 1-1, so we were kind of pushed. The ball came to me left back. I was probably going a bit too adventurous. I tried to do 1-2 with Lee Martin, but when I passed him, he lost the ball. They played the ball down, scored 2-1. We lost. So we got in the dressing room, and an hour, I think it was an hour and a half or 2 hours we were in there, and he went through everybody. Like,
oh, lads,
everybody.
That's torture.
Domino's was cold on the bus, like. So you get Domino's was cold on the bus.
Yeah.
He went through everybody.
I'd be red, like cracking up.
I remember he was hammering me, but he didn't really insult me because I actually done well. And he was saying to me, "What are you doing, venture forward?" And then his insult to me was, "Your parents proud, yeah?" I was like, "I think so, yeah." Well, they should be, shouldn't they? But he's like, "I don't know what they're proud of, because what are you giving the ball to him for? You know he can't protect it." He's hammering, and Lee knows then he's next, so he's hammering Lee. Because my insult wasn't bad, so I was actually sitting there going, "Sorry, I got away with it." But then he gets to another fella, Damien Delaney, and he's hammering Damon, and he's like, "You there with that white tape on your wrist? Do you think that makes you play better? You still can't pass the ball into play." Do you know what I mean? Hammering him. I knew I shouldn't have signed you. You're from the wrong side of the river anyway, because you know we're from the north side. He's from the south side of Cork. So everyone else sitting there going, "What are you on about?" He's on about lads in London with drive-by shootings and saying London lads being soft, and he's just going through people individually, and then he's going through their price tags, and he's like, "You know, you're not worth it." Every single person got it. Sure, one day where were we one time? We were away, and he gave it to the fella taking the urine sample. You know the fellas who come in and take the drug test.
Drug testers, yeah.
Yeah, he gave it to him. He got it. He gave it to him. He gave him some liquid. I can't remember what he said to him. And you here. And he gave it to absolutely.
There's no one safe.
No one safe. Then he hammered the doctor or physio one time for being late for the dinner the night before in the pre-match. He said, "Started with you."
No way.
I started with you last night late for dinner. Do you know,
so
like,
remember he's on the Tommy Tiernan show. He's about his wife, and his wife picked up his wife. He's not Forrest at the time, so he picked her up, and she was, "Do you want to go for a drink?" And she was, "No, I was out last night with my friends." So he went, "Right, okay. Do you want to go to cinema?" "No, I don't want to go to cinema." Right, so he drove around the block, dropped her out of the car.
Yeah,
I believe it.
Still married to her today. Yeah, didn't give a shit. He said, "What'd you do?" "I let her out of the car." "Why did you do that?" "She didn't want to go for a drink. Didn't want to go to cinema. I didn't want to do anything else, so I got her out of the car."
But he's it's almost like he's a victim of his previous own. I know he's harps on against United and all that, but that's the Fergusonism in him, really, like, isn't it?
He prides himself on being nothing like Ferguson, but he's probably exactly more like Ferguson
than he even realised.
Yeah. The way 100. What he done to people, like.
Did anybody ever square up to him in the dressing room?
I heard a story Sunderland, Liam Lawrence did. One lad had a verbal one back with him, Pablo Quinago, but it wasn't like Keane was going to kill him, like he got near him. But Johnny Walton was the only one that bowed down to that. They didn't bow down to him, but Johnny called his bluff. Like Johnny was there ready to go, and Roy wasn't. Like, he said, "I'll move my furniture around, see you 7:30 in the morning." When I tell you everyone was in the morning, everyone was in the morning. Do you know what I mean? Like, we wanted, like, Johnny was gone for a show. John was gone Stoke the next day. Like.
Yeah.
Johnny, like, I like Johnny, like, because he was good for me. Like, I was left back, I wouldn't have been the tallest. If keepers tried to put down on top of me, Johnny was doing my heading.
Yeah,
you know, that kind of way. Johnny was looking after me and then going back up doing his own job. Johnny was a machine, like.
Yeah.
So he looked after me quite well as a left midfielder, like. But but you should see him in the gym, like. There was a punching bag thing there, and he used to do this thing with it. I can't even describe it. It was just mesmerising.
Like Apollo Creed.
His hands were so fast.
Johnny Waters.
So fast.
Yeah.
You know the little punching bag thing?
Yeah.
But his hands were so fast. Like we used to have a go off, like, and you get a rhythm. You know what I mean? You get a rhythm, but it's like
two bags hit the roof, one box. Two roof, one box.
Where his is like like it's relentless. Like, and he it wasn't like that. He'd go in there to lift huge weights. It was just he knew what worked for him, and he'd do a lot of core, and he was so strong.
Underrated though. I think he's fierce on, especially early.
good early career.
Yeah.
Hugely. Like I was actually buzzing when he like I was gutted he left. He's probably the reason why I probably get many games after him. But I was gutted when he left. But I was delighted when he done so well in Stoke. Good time for him.
Yeah.
I haven't spoken to him since he left. But like
that was his best part of his life, wasn't it? Stoke, I'd say.
Yeah. And to be fair, he done so well in Stoke. Like he was limited, but he was so good at using what he had.
Yeah, he was very good.
But he was our captain at the time, and yeah, like he definitely. I'd say he'd have like there was stuff gone on behind the scenes, but like stuff he would kind of relay back a little bit because obviously he wouldn't tell it. You wouldn't tell everyone that, especially in training rooms. You don't know who's going back.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So
yeah.
you have to be careful. Like so he did call his bluff, and he was there. If anything was going to happen, Johnny would know if I move around the furniture. Johnny probably helped move it around. You know, that kind of way. And no, he was gone to Stoke, and he did let him go because he didn't want to let him go because obviously Johnny was huge for us. But at the end of the day, Johnny was 28. It was a good move for him. You know what I mean? And bear in mind the year before when he played crap against Cork City, and I remember Keane saying to him, 2.75 million fuel, I'll chop the arm off someone if they gave it to me. You know? And then 3 million the year later, and he was arguing, like, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, Johnny was the only one that would, like, I've seen him karate chip, you know, the tactics board, and he says some hard things to people, like, you know. But you just see people die. You can just see them
inside
physically dying, like, you know. Some lads can take it, like, I mean,
does it suit him, management? No.
I remember his brother. I was saying I'm doing his service now because I can't remember his name. But his brother came over. His brother's come over quite a bit. He's from Rappeakin in Cork, and he came over one time. But we didn't know his brother's because normally you'd see him around.
It is Johnson, is it?
It's not Johnson. It's
not Dennis, is it?
No, the other brother.
Pat. Thank you, Pat.
Okay.
Pat Keane. Pat used to come over, and Pat, lovely fella. But he used to come over, and we get out training one time. Sometimes Roy would keep distance. It wouldn't be anything out of the normal for him not to say hello or him not to say something at the end of the day. So we were kind of doing, training around, whatever. And about half an hour was in, and it was actually Damien who goes, "That's not Roy." Like, what is it going to be like? So anyway, we were doing away. Next thing, Pat takes off the hat, and we notice it's not Roy. And Roy's been in the bushes looking at us, you know, hiding, seeing what our body language is like, and
using brothers of body.
How we're training, like, you know what I mean? Like mad stuff. You know,
you couldn't make that up, man. It's deadly.
But like to bring me all the way back to the agent one, I'm probably taking up too much of time now.
No, there's lots of time.
Bring you back to your the agent one. It was at the end of the year. Then obviously I'm after telling Snatch, like, I'd love to go with you, like, you know, because obviously in the phone in the car I was like, yeah, done deal, Snatchers, you sort me out, but whatever. And then Roy said that, and I remember I text Snatch just saying, look, I'm not allowed go with you. And Satch was like, look, he rang me. He's like, don't worry, I'll get someone else to organise it. He couldn't have been more accommodating. Yeah. But I was so afraid of Roy.
Yeah.
That I went with a fella called Tim Webb. I think that's his name. I think that was his name. He came down to Ipswich to me, got me in the thing, and he said, you know, what do you want to do, whatever. I said, look, I want at least $4,000 a week here because I'm going to be playing. Because I knew I was getting the number 3 squad short for next year. Yeah. So I goes, I'm like, you know,
I'm a shoe in here.
I'm in. Yeah. So I'm going to be playing, or well, so I thought, and that I'm going to be, you know, I'm going to be, the lads here are on $10,000 a week. Like, I know I'm not at that level, but I'm at least going to 4. And I said, put on the bonus for the games and whatnot, you know, all the small stuff then after. So he came back, he rang me, I'll never forget it. He rang me. I was actually down kicking the ball off the wall. Just during the summer I was home this morning. I was outside my house kicking the ball off the wall. And
you're 20 years of age, right?
Yeah.
20 years of age, yeah.
I would have been, I think I just turned 20. And obviously we're off for the summer, so the only thing I knew growing up was kicking the ball off, or hitting the ball off the wall. So I even said in summer I'd hit or kick the ball off the wall. So I was kicking the ball off the wall, and your man Tim rang me and he said, they have an offer. So I was like, happy days, whatever it is, yeah. You know, like I wasn't going to argue. I was like, yeah, as long as it's, you know, that's salary and whatever. Like, yeah, you might want to hear it first. I was like, why, what is it? €1,000 a week. I said, oh, what? He goes, 1,000 a week.
This is from 700, 300 extra.
Yeah. Bear in mind now, I've played 12 out of about 15 games, like, and I've done really well now. It's not like I've
handing
I've
in number
done
3 jersey
really well.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. I went, no. And he went, you know, what? He goes, it's your job to go back and say no. Do you want me to read it? Like, so he ended up going back forward a little bit anyway. And he goes, the best they'll do is 1,200, but they'll give you 1,200 when you play, and you're going to be playing. And I'm like, no, like,
the start.
Like, what do you mean? Like, He goes, 1,200, but when you play, you get 1,200. He goes, what if I'm on the bench? No, you get nothing if you're on the bench. So I goes, hold on, I get 500 now if I'm on the bench.
Yeah.
So I get nothing if I'm on the bench. I have to come on to get me money.
So they're trying to give you a pay as you play then, are they?
No, I get my 12, but then they're giving me 12 if I play. But I was getting 1,000 if I played anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So in my head, I was thinking like, but see, the reason is they kind of have you because I'd only played, say, 12 or 13 games, but also there's no, like, because they've offered you a contract, you're under a certain age, a club would have had to have paid like 50 grand for me just to go. Yeah. And the club, like, I wasn't probably established enough maybe to do that. I thought I'd done well enough for someone to put that in, but my agent was telling me I hadn't. You know what I mean? Where I know for a fact that Ben would have looked after me. Yeah. You know? So I got a phone call from the manager's PA, and she rang me and said, you need to come back a week early. I was like, for what? He goes, Roy wants to see you in the office because obviously I haven't signed my contract. Like. Yeah. So the youth team were back. I had to come back the same time as the youth team. I didn't realise he wanted to meet me on the Monday morning, so I thought it'd say 9 a.m. I've come in 8:30, whatever. They go, oh, you're training with the youth team today. I'm like, I'm meant to be on holiday. Like. He goes, Roy, we'll see you afterwards. So I was like, all right. So I've come
Jesus Christ,
I've come in, trained with youth team, which is fine to be fair. Like, I mean, it's a bit of training. I didn't mind the training part to be fair. I was still only 20, like, so it was grand. So I'm training with youth team and come back in, and when I say no, he pulled me and he scandalised me. Who do I think I am? All he's done for me, I'd be nowhere if it wasn't for him. And at the time you're agreeing with it, but also on hindsight you're looking back and going, no one handed me that when I came here. Like, you absolutely gave me the chance to come into this club, but you didn't give me the contract. It was actually the reserve manager who was the one who scored 5 goals in 3 games. I was with them the whole time. They said, look, we need, because he, at the time Roy said, I didn't want to be part of the contract process. So he didn't give me the contract. It was the club. So obviously then the year was up to him. And see, the thing is, Roy, you know, a lot of clubs is the chief exec doing the contracts. Roy was doing them. Roy was the one physically doing all contracts for players. He was the one that was, you know, doing the contract. So I'm like, okay, 12, like, and I said to him, I'm not taking 12, like, you know, like, in my lowest voice I could possibly put without annoying him.
I'm trying to insult him.
I'm not taking 12. Michael Jackson's saying it though. Bubbles over there.
Crap myself, like, and he's like, you have to take it. There's nothing else you can do, like, you take it. And he's gone from screaming, like, really, like, he goes, what did he say to me? I was on a camel, and I had to get off my camel to talk about your contract or something like that, he said to me.
Wow.
I was like, I can't even afford a camel now because they're giving me no money. He was on holidays with his family and he was on a camel or something like that, and I had to get off the camel just to talk about your contract. He was trying to make me feel bad. Yeah. Bear in mind, he knew the victim. He knew my car only got repossessed. I had no car. I was actually still paying back that car then because that's why I got repossessed. I wasn't making a payment, so I was owing that car. I was trying to get another car. He banned me from getting any sort of nice car. I had to get a Fiesta. I wasn't allowed to get a
flash car.
And the thing was, the Fiesta was costing me $320, and Mercedes would cost me $300.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's nuts. Yeah.
Like, he ended up saying, "That's your contract. Go down, sign it in the thing today." So I left the room. Didn't sign it that day. Next day he passed me, "Have you signed the contract yet or what?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm going today." I was trying to get my agent to do something.
Yeah.
Something.
Give me something here, yeah.
And he was doing nothing. So I eventually went down, and I'll never forget it. Simon Clegg was the chief exec, and for as long as I live, I'll never forget it. And he put the contract in front of me, and he goes, "Are you sure you're okay with this?" He knew, like.
Yeah.
And I looked up at him, and it was one of them things where it was like, "Why are you saying that to me?" You know what I mean? It was such a weird thing from saying. Like, he knew that was such an undervaluement of what I could possibly go into. Like, maybe I wasn't even worth the 4. Even if it was 2.5, I would have signed it. Do you know what I mean? You're going in a bit high. Like, I didn't really expect 4, maybe 3, 2.5, something like that. I was at least looking to get, to be honest, 2.5, 3 I was looking at. I was thinking if I can get played and get 5 a week, that's going to be huge money. I'm going to be able to change my life, like. So I ended up taking the 12 on no appearance fee. I played the first game, and then he brought in Dan Roddy and benched me. So I'm on the bench getting 1,200 quid a week, not playing. I really think, and he'll say otherwise, I think it's because of me not forming in line. I think that's why he brought someone else in. Yeah. Because Darren wasn't better than me, like. Do you know, like that? Like, I was watching Darren, and he brought in Mark Kennedy as well, who was playing as a left back. Sure, Mark was done, like. You know, Mark could, great fella around the building though. Yeah. Like, I mean, like, you'd have him there.
He must
Mark
be a good
that played
age.
with Liverpool.
No,
and
Wolves.
Millwall.
Yeah.
Millwall.
He must have been a quite good age.
Yeah.
Was he that time?
He was 36 maybe.
Yeah.
But like, unbelievable fella to have in the building. You'd have him there. Any club you go to, you bring him just to have him in the building for his, like, just knowledge and crack, like.
Yeah.
Do you know? But he was football wise, like, I mean, if you're playing against him, get down his side all day.
Probably lost trust in you, did he? Probably like says.
I think because I didn't conform to what he was doing, and I was kind of going against the grain, and he probably thought I'm going to be his guy here, and I'm going to just do whatever. But like he was doing me over, like there was no question about he was doing me over.
Of course he was, yeah.
So and it put me on, and then what happened was the club ended up. Because I did play a load of games in a row. I don't know what my wage was. I ended up getting this huge pay slip. One time it was about 10 grand for the month. I was like, I'm loaded here. But what happened was like they paid me extra for some weeks. They shouldn't have.
Yeah,
Then they were looking for the back the next month. I was broke again. I was like, I would have to go down and buy all Dolce Gabbana and all this stuff. I was loving life. And so I was like, oh, so I always felt like I never had money. Believe it or not, when you were like a footballer, I never felt like I never had money for some reason. I don't know what it was. And I wasn't like living beyond my means. I wasn't like a big partier. I wasn't like I like barred out 1 month when I went and bought loads of stuff. I wasn't really like that. I had the Fiesta. I wasn't buying cars. I wasn't buying anything. It was just because I owed so much back. Like my insurance was like 400 quid a month. My car, I was paying 2 cars 300, another 350 or 400 a month. So like I was already over $1,000 just on that. And then you had your property tax that I thought was optional. You had your water and you had all your other bits. You know, so I felt like I had nothing. I was actually rationing along my money. Do you know what I mean? So I wasn't struggling. Don't get me wrong. I wasn't trying to paint the picture as a pauper, like, but for a professional footballer, it
wasn't the picture that anyone would paint for a professional footballer financially, right?
A first team professional footballer that was like given a number 3.
You're playing in the second most supported league in the world for attendances. It's the championship, right?
Yeah. And Ipswich as well. Like we had a good attendance. Like
big club.
Yeah. And then I say what happened then is actually I went away with Ireland. I tore my hamstring. When I came back, I was passing him in the corridor and he said, I told you not to go away with them. You're not going to kick a ball for me for 4 or 5 months, whatever. And I didn't. And I was out for a good while anyway. It was a bad enough tear, so I was out for a while.
Not to go away with your country?
He hated Ireland. Oh, Jesus, he hated
Then he goes number 2. Number 2.
Remember that thing with Shay? Remember with Henri in the handball and your we all in the next day all good and he just hammering. Where's the keeper? Keeper come and take the ball. He's handled the ball out of the play. The keeper is left to go wide. Like, do you know what I mean? The ball has ran out. Why are you hammering? Like, all right, Shay, come and take it. The ball has gone out of play. There's no like even like if you're a keeper saying you're waving your hands, leaving that goal because you're wasting time for the kick out. You know, I know they probably still needed a goal, so maybe he's not. But maybe you're playing like maybe Ireland were actually the better team that night, so maybe maybe they'll get the ball back. But you know, your penalty is still a good result, even to go away to Parc de France and get that. But like he hated him, and like you know, like that's why I find a lot of stuff hypocritical as regards what he done to me, because I know if I took Ben on, I would have landed in, because that same agent, when I still done well even for a few games that year. I was on Sky. I done really well. I played at the Emirates. I played good for first team. I mean, because when I just before I dislocated my shoulder, I was back in the team and I was doing really well again. Yeah. So I was going to get a good run, and I unfortunately dislocated my shoulder on Christmas Eve, and Roy got sacked in between then. And Paul Jewell came in, and first words he said to me was, "You're Roy Keane guy." I knew I was in trouble. I was involved in a few squads, but didn't play between then and the end of the season. He brought your man Aaron Cresswell in, and he took the number 3 off me. He gave to Cressy.
West Ham.
Yeah. Now, when Cressy came in, there wasn't much between us. Like, I just go, now when I was watching Cressy in training, I was thinking, I still kind of thought I was better than him. Now, Cressy's ceiling was bigger than my ceiling. Yeah. So he went on to do unbelievable stuff, you know. But at the time, he only came from Tranmere. He wasn't, great, but obviously his ceiling, he went and done major things. Great, really good guys. I lived above me. I never had any animosity towards him at all. Like, why would I? Do you know that kind of way? People get kind of grudges. Yeah. Never did. I thought he was a really good guy. So he, I knew I was in trouble. But Doncaster actually wanted to sign me from when I played against them the year before. Sean O'Driscoll. He wanted to sign me, so I was like, okay, fuck it, I'll get a move here. And they wanted to give me, I think it was like 2.5 years, and that would have been like
goal dust. Yeah,
but I wasn't allowed to go because they were in the championship. They wouldn't let me leave. Wouldn't let me go. Although I'm never going to kick a ball, I wasn't allowed to go there.
That's ultra penal, isn't it?
Yeah, so I couldn't go there, and I kind of had a couple of options from League 2, but sure, me thinking I'm Billy Big Bollock.
Yeah, of course, not going down there.
Too good to go down there.
Yeah,
and I didn't go there, and I didn't kick a ball for basically what was it, the 6 months, and then I got an offer from them from Crawley. Funny enough, the last summer I would have been in England, I got to go down on trial. I went from Championship clubs, actually Premier League clubs. West Brom were watching me in games, believe it or not. Yeah, coach told me afterwards, which I was, why'd you ever tell me that? Yeah. And he said to me, you can go and just have a quick week down there, but it looks like they will sign you. I was like, there's man Tim said to me, so I was like, yeah, get me down there ASAP.
Were they League 2?
They were League 2, but they were pumping money in at the time. Okay. Billy Clark went there after me, They were pumping money in the time. It was actually quite a good club, to be fair. So went down there. Steve Evans was down there. I actually done really well, scored a couple of goals, played against Palace, and I done really well. And they said, we'll sign you, just go back, we'll sort out the details, your agent. I said, look, I don't think the club were going to be looking for anything for me. You know, this will be quite easy. So I'm back about 3 days, and I've knocked on Paul Hughes' office. So he's like, is there any news here? And he's like, no, nothing. I was like, all right, okay. I thought they were kind of taking the mick a bit. So my agent rang me a week later. He said, oh no, deal's gone. And for the life of me, couldn't understand what went wrong. I was like, I left agreeing, so I didn't know what happened. So fast forward a couple of months, I ended up going on deadline day. I went on loan to Port Vale. It was between Port Vale and I think Macclesfield, and I wanted to go to Macclesfield because it was close to Ipswich, but they said no, you have to go to Port Vale. I went to Port Vale on a Friday night. They had nowhere for me to stay, so I booked into a hotel myself. Thursday night. Met the manager on the Friday. They were playing the Friday night game, Mickey Adams, and I went into the office and he goes, what's your name?
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I 100% believe I was stitched up and sent up there to do nothing.
Absolutely.
Didn't kick a ball. Didn't kick a ball.
Yeah.
What's your name? Where'd you play? Yeah. That's what it was. You can never prove it. And like I'm not anti, but like, what's your name? Where do you play? As a player coming from loan from a championship team down to a League 2 team.
Yeah.
If you're not playing here,
doesn't match up there, does it?
No. Whether he did know me or not, I don't know. But that were his first 2 words to me. What's your name?
What's the mind saying to you there? Like, you must be screaming.
I cried like
100%.
Yeah, I cried. Yeah. I went out and cried. Yeah.
Did you think I'm done here?
I knew full well because I knew I wasn't going to kick a ball. I wasn't even putting squads like.
It's a cruel sport when you're trying to make it, isn't it?
I wasn't even putting the squads. You're
going down 2 divisions.
I wasn't even squad, and I was there about 3 or 4 weeks, and they were doing okay. They weren't doing much, but I remember he pulled me and he goes, "I will give you a game at some stage." He said to me, and I remember I think I was distraught, like, and I just said to him, "I need to go. I can't be here." I went back up the road to Ipswich, and I met Paul Jewell inside the office. And he said, "Why'd you come back?" And I just said, I can't be down there. Like, it's doing me more harm than good."
Yeah.
And he kind of said, "Look, you threw it in at your first chance. Like, you gave up." And I said, "You didn't know my name, Paul."
Yeah.
Do you know, like, I didn't know my name, like, and he was just like, "No, you just gave up." And I was like, I think I cried again when I left his office. 'Cause I knew I was done. Like, I knew I was done. He said, "You can go home." It was because it was a couple of weeks to Christmas, and I think I went home for about 3 weeks.
What's that like at home, Shane? Like, you're coming home.
You're living the lie.
Are you pretending?
Yeah, living the lie. Going, it didn't work out. I'm going to get another move back to Champions League now in January, and this, that, and the other. Like, you're living the lie. Like, went back home. I went over for a couple of weeks, then I went back over. Worst thing was probably to go home because I actually went back and I went to Southend. I'd done a trial because I'd always done well in reserve games against them, but again, I think maybe my confidence was gone. I was awful. I went to Yeovil, awful. Like, awful. I was a disgrace. Like, I couldn't.
You're a bet man.
Yeah, I was.
That's hard to take, though, man, isn't it? They're punching your heart there every single time.
Yeah, and then what happened was then I got a phone call from Stephen Kenny to go to Rovers. Love Stephen, great time for him, but my God, what a man to have a hard conversation on the phone. You think he's gone? He's still there, Stephen. Like, he talks to you, and then you think he's gone. Like, the line is gone, and you're like, is he still there? Is he not there? And he's like, will you come over to have a chat? And I was like, back then, the League of Ireland is a bit different now. Back then, it was...
You would have been a massive profile coming into League of Ireland back then, right?
Yeah, but then you're done, as in you're not going back. You know what I mean? No matter how much you...
I
did convince myself. So I said I'll come over and meet Stephen. I went over and met Stephen. I went around, had a look around Rovers. And I was like, looking, I was thinking, Stephen, I don't know. Like, I mean, like, Ipswich were giving me a pay up. I was going to try and drive around and, go to clubs, and Tim was being no help to me as regards to getting trials. He was the one that actually told me, yeah, you're better off going back there. Any agent that tells you you're better off going back there at that stage wasn't worth anything.
Is your biggest regret not going with Thatcher?
Yeah, because you
would have took care of you.
I would have had a career in England with Ben.
Yeah,
I was good enough to have a career.
For you, right?
Yes, but I was good enough to have a career in England.
Yeah,
and he would have been, for the way managers were treating me, they would have been good in going, hold on a minute here now, like, you know what I mean?
And a fella in your cap is that he played the same position as him, so he knows your attribute more than any other. Yeah, you can say a right winger or a centre forward or something like that. But this lad's a left full, I was a left full. He has everything. And
he knew me. He knew my game. I trained him. He knew how good I was. Like Liam Rosenior now, manager of Strasbourg. You know Conor Wickham at all?
Wickham, yeah.
Me and Wickham, we used to room together because we kind of came through at the same time. And I remember Liam come out. He was like, "Oh, you two lads are going to have some Premier League career." Like, that's what Liam was saying to me. Like, Liam would have been an established pro. And he was saying that to me, and at the time I wasn't really registering with me. Like I was happy to be playing first team. He was like, "You're going to have some careers." Like Conor Wickham was projected to be like Alan Shearer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like injuries, to be fair, hampered him as well. Like, but like he was projected to be huge. Like, and then you have, like he was saying to me, like you're going to have some careers, Premier League careers. Like you've some, like, and I was really good because my confidence was sky high, and you always play well.
Of course,
So and I was doing well training. I was good, and then to that in 2012, I kind of, you know, I made the decision to come back to Ireland stupidly because in the end Tim said, you know, we might as well go back to Ireland, and I knew there was no
He
one
didn't
else.
want you.
There was no one fighting my corner then, you know.
Yeah.
So I went, okay, I'll come back, and I was City, Derry, and Rovers. I was going between, and then I made the worst decision. I went to Cork City because it was on my doorstep.
Yeah.
I was I remember I was like, I'll be back over in England in 6 months, but I done nothing to get back over to England.
Right.
I was horrific. I mean, I didn't train properly. I'd say Tommy Dunn was actually the first one to notice my gambling dictionary. He pulled me in and he said, "You have a lot of money on the game there, do you?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Be careful with that." And I was like, "What are you on about? Like, leave me alone."
But during all this time, Shane, sorry to go across you. So during all this time, you were carrying that gambling that was in there, right?
Not as strong. Sorry, I should have went on to that earlier. As in,
No, you're grand.
When I was playing first team all along, when I stopped playing first team and travelling to games, 3:00 kickoffs on a Saturday, I started to put a little bet on. Actually, with Mark Kennedy, believe it or not, he was the first person kind of taught. I couldn't tell you how to really do it. I remember coming home watching the lads put dog races on. I remember dog locking one of my buddy's dog out of the way, and he had no money to go out. And I remember giving the money to go out. He goes, "You just lose money on this thing running around the bend." Like I couldn't believe what he had lost money on. It was my first time ever seeing it. I couldn't believe it. And so then we started going in, and I was doing coupons. I won the first year, and I might have only been a couple of quid, like, but I was winning, you know, small amounts of putting €2, £5 on, or whatever it was, and I was winning maybe 100 or 200 euro pounds or £50, whatever it was. And I started winning every Saturday, and I was calling it money making Saturdays. But I didn't realise, only looking back at time, it was actually blocking out the fact that I wasn't involved in the match day. Like,
Yeah.
it was completely taking away the pain of not being anywhere. You know, so I was like, all right, okay, because it's different when it was Ryder and I was injured and I knew he was like not playing. Like, this was the time when I knew I'd lost all chance of being in teams. So, but then when I was put in a match day squad, I wouldn't put a bet on. So if I travelled, I wouldn't do it because I'd have no interest because now I'm with the team.
So gambling was your game if you weren't playing.
Yeah. So
what age were you when you started gambling?
Would I have been 19, 18, 19 maybe?
Okay.
19, I'd say.
Right.
19. Maybe just 20 even. So I was putting on the small bets, but then obviously that started jumping into a Tuesday night, Wednesday night Champions League, Thursday night, whatever it's called, Europa League.
Just football.
So it's on every night.
Football.
Yeah.
And then it started to go to all of a sudden a week start doing tennis. So now I'm doing a bit of tennis and football because whatever's on Sky Sports, I'm starting to do it. And then it's starting to affect my mood because I can remember, it was only looking back now I can think that because I remember the mood with my girlfriend who was from, the girlfriend at the time, she was actually from Cork. She moved over with me. And I remember one of the things that stick out for me was that I was waiting on Barcelona to win, and I was going to buy a new pair of green boots so quick because I was going with Ireland next week, and I was like, if I these win, I'm going to get these green boots. Going to look great playing for Ireland. Like, and
That's the Chelsea game.
no, it wasn't. I'll come back to that one in a minute. That was a horrific one for me. But what happened was Messi scored in 90 minutes. They won 3-0. I think I had a minus. Back then, Barca and Real Madrid, every week it was minus whatever they were.
Yeah.
Like Real Madrid had the boys up top, and every week they were pulling it out. So they won, but my mood was horrific. And then Messi scored, and I remember I must have done something to upset her, and she was in the room. I think she was upset, and Messi scored. So I've gone in now all happy, and you know. So I think that was when they started to alter my mood, which without me kind of realizing. And even if because I used to be still, even then, I was putting money aside to get through the week. So I'd have this for food and this for this. So like whatever money I'd left over, I'd actually put into betting on that day. So if I had £20 for a day and I had £5 left over, it would be I just throw that on something. I throw that on something. Still small enough money. And then when I started to win, I started to bet a little bit bigger, and that was when the first time I ever got in trouble, kind of with unpaid rent. And Mark actually bailed me out. He gave me 2 months rent to bail me out. Your mum was at the door knocking, and he bailed me out with 2 months rent. And this is before he came back. And this now, I don't think I have an iota of a problem gambling here. Like I don't think I have an iota. Like I'm trying. You know, I don't think this is completely normal for.
Well, when you see it everywhere, it's normal, right? Like when you see all the bookies in every high street, when you see all the advertisements and everything, it's normal.
Yeah,
sure, everyone must do this.
Everyone did. Like everyone in the dressing room did it. Like it was like, sorry, I do service. Everyone in the dressing room didn't do it, but everyone would speak about horses. Or
100%.
Lads would have the paper out about horses, like you know. Because back then, I think you could only not bet on the competition you were in. you could bet on everything else. So I could bet on the Premier League, but now you can't bet on any football as a professional footballer.
Yeah.
But back then,
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
back then you could bet on competitions that you weren't involved in. So I could bet on the Premiership, League 1, League 2. Couldn't bet in the Carling Cup or whatever you call it, the Championship or FA Cup, because we've involvement in that competition.
Yeah.
Champions League and all them, they're all fair game back then. So now to be fair, I'm still doing Championship and all them back then. Do you know what I mean? Because like
The boogie's not going to stop you, is it?
No, who's going to be looking at me like, anyway? Do you know? There was never our own game or anything. Do you know, that kind of way? Like it might be like Stoke against someone or whatever. Like you're sitting there watching, like, how am I affect the game watching my coach? Do you know what I mean?
But
Like,
can't you see how lads would get desperate and fall into the whole match fixing thing though? Like you can see that, can't you? Through an addiction.
Oh, addiction. Oh yeah. I mean, if I'm in England and I'm like I saw firsthand with Michael Chopper, like lads came to the training ground to cut him up, like. Do you know what I mean? Because he owed so much money out. Like the club had to bail him out hugely. Like lads are waiting at because in our training ground you cross the road to get to the pitches. Like you did before. I don't know if it's changed since, but there was lads waiting for him there, and he actually went to treatment in there. And I think it's well known. I'm not out in shops at all. Like it's well known. Like he speaks about himself. But he was in trouble and he was in huge debt. I remember Mark Kennedy. He used to say to me, like, he goes, he's going to be broke when he's finished playing. Like he'll be broke. And I'm thinking, how could he be broke when he's finished playing? Like he's, driving. He goes, he will on 100%, like 100%. Because Mark Kennedy is the shrewdest man ever. Like he'll have his bet, but like he understood what he was doing.
You don't be professional that long if you're not shrewd.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So I remember, like I had all these people, like I had every sign in front of me of what to look out for, what not to do. But sure, like in my own head, I'm doing everything wrong. But it's I'll go back to your earlier question. If someone came to me and I was playing first team football and I'm on 1,200 quid a week, and some fella comes to me and says, I'm going to give you 100 grand to kick that ball into that corner.
Inside the first minute.
You're not going to do it, like, you know what I mean? I remember Letizia, I think, when someone threw it to him years ago, so that's why I used that analogy.
There was rumours, because every time Letizia took a tip off, he was kicking it out onto the left, didn't he?
Yeah.
And it was always overhit.
Yeah.
And there was rumours that
he was a certain amount to be able to play in a certain amount of time, and he undercooked one or something anyway. Yeah. But that's why I use that analogy, because if someone said that to me, like, if you're on a lesser money, I can't see why you wouldn't, like.
Yeah, but just to stay on that topic.
If you're addicted.
If you look at the snooker.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, yeah.
It's riddled with lads.
Yeah.
Do you know?
What's his name?
John,
Sean Murphy, wasn't it?
John Higgins, wasn't it?
Sean Murphy.
Higgins was accused. No, it was Lee.
Stephen Lee.
Stephen Lee.
Yeah.
But your man that won the World Championships, Xiao Bing Tong, he was suspended for alleged fixing. Part of a group of Chinese players that were fixing games.
Right.
He's only back 2 years, I think. But anyway, but you can see how.
Oh yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah, because like, like if they're not preying on the lads like Letizia back then, but they weren't on huge money back then.
Yeah.
So someone, so like that would have been a huge money to them. But like, you're not preying on a Ronaldo or Messi because you can't give them any money. Yeah. You're playing on a guy who's lower down or able to do something that that you can maybe make money or whatever. Like, I don't know how you would do it, but like that's how you're going to fixate on it. Like, because you can't control the outcome of a game. I don't care what anyone says to me about lads. Like, you can't control. One person can control an outcome of a game. Maybe a keeper can.
Keeper maybe.
Maybe. Do you know what I mean? But you can't control the outcome of a game. You'd need nearly everybody in the pitch to be pushing them one way.
At the level goalkeepers are at, like, you would spot them doing something like,
no,
that's our character there.
Yeah. That's why snooker's okay. It's like me missing that red. It's like me missing that red with Roy. Like, you know what I mean? Because you can miss a red, but like, football, I think it's too hard to maybe do that. Probably,
Do you know when you're in the depth of it, right? Of gambling, like, is there any point where you're thinking, like, we had Tony O'Reilly on? I don't know if you've ever heard Tony.
I know
O'Reilly.
Tony. I actually done my counselling through his.
Tony.
Did you?
Yeah. Tony's a Carlo lad. He came on. He was one of our first big name guests. And he was brilliant. And like, I remember asking him, like, do you know how when you're going to be free of it? Like, so do you know, like, this is the bet that's going to come in, I'm free of it? Are you ever in that situation, or is it just are you going to ever be free of it when you're in the middle of it? Like,
no, like, I mean, I tell myself a million times, if this wins, I'm out. I remember before.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Before I went to my...
Just clear everything and I'm done.
Yeah. Great example of that is when Richardson scored a penalty in the Copa America final. They won 3-1. I was waiting on Brazil -1 to get out of every debt I was in. My Eva, my partner was going into hospital to have Eva, and I said, I'm not bringing her into the world still gambling, so this wins, I'm out, I'm grand. So it was like to Sunday, obviously, Copa America final one. Richardson scored a late penalty. I was completely out, completely solvent, By the following Sunday, I was about fucking 3 or 4 grand down again. Eva was just born. I remember Cork and Kenny playing the hurling. I'm a Simona Halep against. I do have quite good memory. Simona Halep hammered Serena Williams, and that put me down a heap of money. But I was completely okay. There was nothing between that time and my first bet that put me under pressure to bet.
Gotcha.
It was just me having that money in my head, going, I could turn this into something for this now, and then I could do this, and I just use this, and then all of a sudden I'm.
When Richarlison scored a penalty, how many days did you last without a bet, or did you do it the next day?
No, I was back on the next day.
Oh yeah, the next day. And you were so that night previous, you were convinced I'm done.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Wake
And
up,
that's only one of
wake up.
many times now, but that's
Yeah,
good
yeah.
because like I was really clear as in my Eva will be born. I'm going to stop, and the thing was I actually because when you win you tend to be on the crest of a wave. It's like confidence, you're quite high. When you're losing, then you're down here. Now. So I ended up that week. I was actually up a good few quid. I remember it's a bad story to tell, but Dublin were playing Cork, and Holly couldn't. She was about 3 weeks over or 2 weeks over, but she couldn't. Her waters wouldn't break.
Okay.
They were trying to bring it on, but we were put into the room for to have the baby, and I think they were still trying to break her waters. I think, or she was maybe not far enough, along yet. And Dublin were playing Cork, and Dublin got like 4 late goals against Cork. That's showing you how bad my betting is. I'm betting on Dublin to be Cork. Like that's show you how much I respect, And Dublin got 4 late goals, and they won me that. Even that, I think that was a Saturday night or a Friday night, whichever Saturday night I think, and it won me a load of money. And I was buzzing there, sitting there buzzing like, and my child is about to be born. Like I'm sitting in a delivery room, and all I'm watching is my phone, and like that will tell you how out of like sync I am with anything that's going on in life.
No
now,
control,
I'm heavily in my addiction at this stage. Like this is.
Are you in Cork? You're back?
Oh yeah, this is 2019. Like this is this is about 8 years before of really bad addiction now. But like this is show you how out of sync I am with the world. Like
this is your Everest of addiction, right? This is your.
I'm right
at the
up
peak.
there now. Yeah. No, it still gets worse, but like that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I keep finding more layers to the mountain. Like
Yeah, okay. Where do you know when you're in it deep? Are you hoping someone finds out? Are you hoping someone pulls me aside and tells me about this, or are you just hiding it all the time? Because like some people would do things in plain sight, and they'd hope that people would see it and pull them and have this conversation with them. Are you ever thinking like that, or is it just so selfish that I'm fine here?
no, I 100% believed until the day I stopped gambling was I'll stop when I want. I didn't need no one's help.
Wow.
I needed no one's help. Stop. I'll stop when I'll stop.
I'll choose. I'll fix this.
I'll stop when I want to stop. Like I'm able to stop when I want to stop. So I fully believe that I didn't need anyone's help.
That's mental,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Because it's still
like
done,
you're
like,
just like putting smoke screens up, avoiding a reality to saying that I can't stop. Like your mind is so addicted to one thing. Your brain is telling you, oh, you can stop whenever you want, bud.
Like I don't know how in depth of with the gambling, but fast forward into one of my last days gambling. This will show you how, say now putting up smoke screen is. I was Easter Sunday last year. I was so what happened was if I wasn't able to gamble, if I couldn't chase gamble, I chased a woman. My addiction maybe spiraled out where I was constantly looking for some sort of
Buzz,
release, also escape from reality. Anything you want to look at. Obviously, I just believed I was a bad person as well.
Are you a drinker?
No, I can't. I didn't drink till I was about 21, and for whatever reason if I have a couple of pints, I just can't do anymore. I just don't like the taste.
Gotcha.
I don't know what it is with it.
Yeah.
And obviously I've never done a drug, I've never had a cigarette, anything like that in my life. So so obviously at the end when my partner knew my money, if I couldn't get money, I now chase women. I'll try and get to know them. Maybe I'll borrow it off them. Like I was methodical in how I could try and get money. Like anything for me to try and get money. So I try and work out how I could find out different avenues to get money, or even give me a chase to do something. Because then if you chase someone gave interest back, you'd actually drop and go another way. Or sometimes you might go like it's just the way your thinking was, because you wanted that chase or you wanted that escape all the time. And what happened was on Easter Sunday, I was out the night before, and partner came home. She found messages in my phone from gambling stuff, all this from women and all this stuff. So when I woke up the next morning, I woke up on Easter Sunday, and my partner went through my phone, and I run this football thing, so I went down there. I knew she'd been through my phone because of where it was positioned and all the stuff. So I was like, oh my God, I'm in trouble here. She said she's not, because she was coming down and help me. She said I'm not coming down. So I remember I had to cancel the class because there was a couple of helpers missing today as well, coaches that we pay, like. And I remember sitting here going like, what am I going to do here now? I'm in trouble, like. Even still, like, I'm betting, by the way, on my phone, like.
You still gambling?
Yeah, still betting. So about 2 hours later, she rings and she says, or it's a text message. She said, "You're not to come back." I think it was a phone call. She said, "You're not to come back here. My parents are on the way down. Don't come back to this house." Like, so I'm like, all right, now it's
Shit.
yeah, shit's the fan now. So I end up driving down to Kinsale. I think I lost my bet, whatever. I had a few euro in my pocket, and I tried to kill myself once, and this was the only time where I think it's more half-hearted than a proper. The other time I did this one, I bought 2 bottles of wine, and I went down to the river in Kinsale, and I was like, I'm just going to drink these and throw myself in. Did I have the same purpose behind? I don't know, but I felt I was like a rat in a corner. I didn't see any way out of this now, because her family are down. She's after unveiling everything about me now. She knows
You're fucked.
So she knows I've been borrowing money off people for the past year. She knows I'm borrowing money. She knows I've been talking to people. She knows how much money I'm after putting in, every lie I've told. Like, she's found out, like, because that year was pretty bad for me, because she had no control of the finances. I was borrowing off everyone, telling lies. I used to say me and Holly are co-parenting just so I could borrow money off people. I used to be telling lies to beat the band. Like, you couldn't be up to me.
Where let's roll it back.
Wow.
Where do the lies start and get bigger and bigger? And are you in a mental space where you're actually believing your own lies?
Oh yeah, there's probably lies I told that I think are probably true.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. Like,
Outrageous.
I probably told people lies, and by the time they've come back around to talk about it, I probably convinced myself that probably happened. And that's got
Is
the
the
truth. Like,
mind mental?
like, they're reminding me of stuff I can't even remember what I told. Yeah, because like I've gone with so many lies to different people. I can't even remember what I've told you. Like, you know what I mean? What are you talking to me about?
Yeah.
Like, do you know? But like when my gambling really escalated was 2012. Like, was like when I finished with City and Rovers that time, and the thing that broke the camel's back broke the camel's back for me in England was this last bit I'll say about the football side is when and that summer when I came back 2012 when I was with City, in that summer I got a phone call from Crawley. Believe it or not, Sean O'Driscoll had gone into Crawley, the fella who tried to sign me for Doncaster. He's gone to Crawley. He'd like you to come over, but just come over, do a week's training. Billy was there at the time. Do a week's training. Everything's all right. You know, we'll bring you in, whatever. So I was like, happy days. Like, I'm out. I'm back over. So I went over, done well in my training. I played Millwall in a friendly game. He said, yeah, just go back, get your stuff, and come back over during the week there. We'll sort out the contract. He was not going to be amazing. I said, you can offer me 20 quid. Like, you know what I mean? I'm back. You know what I mean? Like,
I
money
need
was
this.
complete. Yeah, I need this now. So he was like, yeah, look, we'll give you 2 years. You know, see how you get on. Absolutely. So I went back. I remember playing man golf course with my dad on a Monday, and someone had pinged the phone. Sean O'Driscoll's 1 to 6 to get the Forest job. And I was like, he's only just gone to Crawley. He's there like literally 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Like, he's not even in the door. Like, and he said, there's no way he's leaving. But he did. He left. He went to Forest. The club then said, look, management might come in. Didn't uphold the contract. Head was gone.
Wow.
I went to Rovers then, and I remember. Now I had a good bit of money from England. I had about 20 grand coming back, and I had Cork City money. I was getting about €700 a week here. Even though I was only getting paid €300 less than I was getting paid in Championship. Like,
but Ipswich obviously bought you outright.
They gave me 20 grand for my last 6 months.
Okay.
I don't know, was that the whole lot or was it? I don't know.
Compo,
and then
whatever,
Tim Webb, he said, I'll only take 1,000 for my fee. I was
You're welcome.
He done you over, didn't he?
But what happened at Crawley, I went to the reason I'm about Tim is that when I got to Crawley, I said, what happened last year? He said, your agent was asking for all sorts. We told him deaf off.
Wow.
And I was like, at no time did anyone think to pick up the phone and ring the person on the other end. We said, you gave him permission to speak for you. That's what happens. Like,
yeah.
And I was like, what? So the reason I've gone through this, you know, year of hell, which at the time I thought was a year of hell, not knowing what was coming ahead of me, I was like, I've gone through this year of literal hell
because of the agent.
Because he decided he wanted whatever he was wanting, when I was literally happy to go for, even if it was 700 quid.
Yeah.
You know, because at the time I just needed to get back in the first team.
You need a platform.
I knew if I got back in the first team, I knew I'd climb back up again. Like, I knew it. I just did. But so when that happened, I was gone. Stephen brought me up to Dublin, but I was living. They had me staying in a hotel in Tala across from the stadium.
Same as Mikey.
Yeah.
There's a paddy power underneath there, and I used to get paid on a Thursday, and I'd be down. I would have money by the Thursday afternoon. Like, by the time I was finished training, I would have money. Couldn't go back home to Cork. Remember being in a petrol station one time, and I put in €30 petrol or diesel, whatever it was, into my car. And I remember I knew I had no money, but I put it in, like, and I knew I had no money. Yeah, I know I had no money. Like, I put it in. I was like, oh my car, I got no change. But my mum was like, because I always go there.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I always stopped
And
there on the way back
yeah.
to Cork, like, and I knew 2 or 3 of them. And when I got to the garage, I knew your man, and I knew I could bluff him. Like, so I was like, oh, yeah, I know what I'm going to do here. I goes, look, I'm only going back to Cork. I back in Monday, and I'll throw you in on the way back up. And he was like, oh, you know, I'll get in. He goes, look, what I'll do is I'll throw it in and just throw it back to me when you're, because I goes, look, I'll be going home again next week. So. But I did. The next week I came in and I gave him his 30, and I'm sure I was up, so I was able to pay my 30 in diesel, and I was able to pay my whatever it was, like 50 or whatever it was. I was able to. But he actually, out of his own pocket, put in the petrol money for me to go to Cork. Like, I was only paid 750 quid the day before. Do you know what I mean?
This is 2000 and...
This is 2012. This is when I'm.
That's good
this
money.
is the year.
Like, that's...
This is the year. This is the year I've come back from England after going through my 20 grand.
Yeah.
That Chelsea and Barcelona game was actually the one that really killed me. Because I had them to qualify that night. Real Madrid kicked me in the stones the night before against Bayern Munich, and then Chelsea, because they were 2-0 up, man sent off. I thought and this was only just getting me out of trouble. It didn't happen, and then the Champions League final was the one that really crippled me, because I needed Bayern Munich in about 10 of them, and then when it didn't happen, I was borrowing money that I didn't have to do them in extra time. Robin missed a penalty, and then I doubled down for him to win on penalties. They lost on penalties.
Oh,
After going through 20 grand, he started getting...
and this is still, yeah. And
Talk
then,
to me about time frame there, like days, weeks.
It was January to March.
Wow.
Yeah, January to March. Now this is a 21-year-old kid, like, because that semi-final would be March, April, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So maybe the last it was in April at some stage, whenever that game was. And actually, see, I got it. I actually remember coming home. I got it in the first week in February. So technically, it was 2 months, like, 2 or 3 months. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Because I got the paycheck, say the last of January, you got it paid as if you would have if you were still there. Like,
you surely don't take that with the idea that you're going to gamble at all.
Oh no. Like, I mean, I remember I went out and I bought a couple of things, and I was like, right, now I'll be set up here and I'll do whatever, and then. See that escalated my gambling and my addiction, because I lost. It was the first time when I started to look at money as in regards losing it. So when I lost 2 grand, I was like, I need that 2 grand back now. So I'd put 2 grand on to win that 2 grand back. Oh, now I'm 4, so now I need to win 4 grand back. That was the first time my mind started to think that way. Where before, when I lost the bet, I just lost the bet. I didn't think of it as losing the 10 or losing the 100 or losing the 50.
Yeah.
I was addicted, but I wasn't addicted in the way where my mind started to think, like, say now if I had €500 today and I won €500, and then I lost that €500 back down. I'm now down €500.
Yeah,
I'm not down €500 because I won that, but I'm now down
But
that
you
5. So
mentally, you think
so
you're down
mentally,
500.
I'm down €500. So that was the starting of my thinking, where I'm down money, so I need to win back that money in order to get back solvent.
But you're breaking even, really.
Yeah. So if you give me 50 quid now and I win 10 grand, right, and I go back to bed with 50 quid tonight, I'll be like, I'm down that money, but technically I have what I started with.
yeah.
Yeah, but it's when
You know what I mean? So
you don't think like
in
that.
my head, I can go, I can do that again. You know what I mean? But I'm not down. I am down. I'm in my head all day. I'm snapping because I'm down. But to try and get my brain to shut down for the night, I have to tell myself, but you're not down because you have what you started with. You're not down. Because it's the only way I can try and switch that off. Because otherwise you can't switch
Yeah,
it
but
off.
it's hard to convince yourself of that when you're after.
Oh, yeah.
I could have walked out there with 10 grand, but now I'm
see,
walking out with 50 quid.
Someone with addiction has no rationale.
No,
right?
Absolutely none. No.
Oh, no.
And no logical thinking. And you're going to the kind of Rain Man thinking where it's all numerical. You know, it's I'm up and down and chasing this, I'm that. It's 5s, it's 10s, it's 20s. Like it's like you are not, in your mind, the mind is so powerful. At that time, you are not an addiction.
No, oh no.
In your head.
No.
Right? So it's never going to change.
No, not for me. Like in January 2012, I was a professional footballer in Ipswich. In December 2012, I was selling my stuff in CEX to get a few quid.
Outrageous. But what I'm saying to you is, you're that's fine in your head.
Oh, my head, like my mum saying to me, I remember my mum being, because they were the first person to kind of get me to look at the Gambler Anonymous video and say, like, this is you in your room, like this is what you are. Because obviously I'm living back home, which is hard to be living away since you're 16.
Oh
now
my
you're living
God,
back
are
home
you joking
under
me, yeah?
rules, like, you know, like, and like they obviously they're going through this for you. You don't get a book when you're being a parent, so they don't know what's going on with me. So they try and bring me into a Gamblers Anonymous meeting, and I sit in there and I'm like, yeah, this man's talking about losing his family and all this. I'm just sitting there going, why am I here, like, listening to this? Like, what am I doing here listening to this story about your man losing? Fast forward 14 years, that's actually me in the same meeting talking about the same thing.
Yeah.
But at the time, I had no tolerance for it. They used to drop me off in meetings. I used to go into the bookies. I used to hide. I used to actually sit, if I knew they were waiting outside for me, I'd sit in a corner in the place without going into the room because I just didn't want to be in there. Like, I didn't want to be listening to what was
Tell
going
me, Shane, what gambling free now over a year?
Yeah,
fair play to you. What's your understanding of addiction now?
So, like, obviously, I was in treatment for the month last year, and what they taught me, I suppose, was, you know, not being able to deal with stuff was going on. So, like, my trigger was if something went wrong, I was just using gambling as a coping mechanism. So I was using that as, if you know, I'll go and gamble. I'll teach you, I'll go gamble. Do you know what I mean? So I was using that as my coping mechanism. So what I try and do all the time now is, my counsellor just told me to write something why. So if someone does something on my thing, I always think, why am I feeling this way? Why am I like this? Like, a lot of it comes from, I do a lot of the, you know, the parent-adult-child syndrome, where if someone talks to me, putting people on pedestals. I'm not, like Roy Keane, I would have done a lot with, not able to be on his level. He's no better than me, despite his level. He was no better than me. I try and treat everyone as on the same level as me. You're not better, no one's better than you, and you're not better than anyone. I that helps me a lot, to be honest, keep me level. What helps me most is people reaching out to me and me talking back to them about it, because that keeps, the more people that know about my addiction, the more likely I am to stay on the straight and narrow. So when anyone tells you to this and they say, oh, it's only my partner knows, I go, tell everyone. Just come out and go to your parents, talk to them. Actually, I spoke to a fella last week. He went to his parents and he told people about it, because I was like, you have to speak to people, because that's what's going to help you in the long run. Because now, even if I feel an urge to go, I'm going to be less likely to go, because he might know me, or he might know me.
Gotcha.
Like, there'll be nothing to ever stop. Like, I hated watching football. I was a bitter man for years. I hated watching Ireland. Hope they always lose. I hope Cork always lost. I was just a bitter person.
Yeah.
And what did it get me? Nowhere. Everyone else going about their life, and here I am hating on everyone. You know, even same with Paul. Like, I don't hate anyone. Don't dislike Paul Jewell, don't dislike Roy Keane, because at the end of the day, they were only doing what they thought was best for themselves at that time.
Yeah.
It was nothing personal against Shane O'Connor. Like,
yeah,
I was making it about Shane O'Connor because it was to me, but nothing anyone done was ever against me. Maybe my face didn't fit, maybe they didn't like me, but that's life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I harboured all them feelings. And probably keep me there today, but there's one story that will really sum up what my addiction was. Is that when I was kicked out of that house that time last week out of my home, I slept behind it. I went down to a hotel and I couldn't check in because it was past I won a bet to be able to stay in a hotel instead of sleeping in my car.
Hell.
So when I got to the hotel, the porter was on. They couldn't check me in. I said, can I just at least sleep in the lobby or something? She was like, no, you can't. You have to go. And I was like, I've nowhere to go. I was begging you. I was like, I've nowhere to go here. Please let me stay. Like, she was like, no, you have to go. So I was like, okay. So I'm back out to my car and I drove around the back of my house and I slept at the back of the house. And the next morning I woke up. The first thing I done was put on an Australian Greyhound and I won about €400 I won. And I won the next one with another €400. I drove back down, and in Cove you have to pay for parking. I didn't think this hotel had a car park, so I parked kind of down the marina and I walked up. I was still early, but I was going to, I knew the doors would be open. But as I was walking up, for whatever reason now, sorry if I make your stomach run, for whatever reason my stomach went. I don't know what happened to me, but my stomach went. I couldn't make it back to my car, and I couldn't make the thing. I was right, it was like someone, probably, but I didn't feel it. It wasn't like I felt it. It was just, I don't know what happened. And I was like, I'm not going to be able to hold this. Came on like that, came on me, and I ended up just completely sorry myself. But because I left the house, these were the only clothes I had on. These are the only clothes I had on me, right? So I ended up continuing walking to the hotel, getting myself cleaned up as best I could, right? Saying to the hotel, when can I check in here? Like, and they were like, you have to wait till 10. This is like 7:30 in the morning. Like.
Oh, jeez.
So I'm like, great. So I make my way back to my car, and I've texted my partner. I said, can you please leave clothes for me? Please, like, I need clothes. I know I'm not allowed back in the house. She was like, grand, you can take them out of the back of my car. You're not allowed into the house. So she left them in the back of her car. When I opened the boot of the car, they were all in black bags. So this is the first time I've thought, I'm actually never going to be allowed back home.
Yeah.
Because now it's hitting me where I've gone, I'm kicked out for good here. I was expecting a couple of pairs of pants and a t-shirt where 3 back bags of clothes there.
Yeah.
So I've thrown all these clothes in and I've thrown them in the car. I've brought down a few stuff into the hotel. I've showered, right? Got changed. Waited till about 1 o'clock. I've got up to the shop, got a hot chicken roll, bottle of Coke, bar of chocolate, came back down, sat on my phone and gambled for the day. Didn't have an notion. Wasn't allowed to see my kids. Wasn't allowed back home. But as long as I had money to bet with, that's all.
More powerful than the kids even.
I would have sold my kids. Honest to God, I would have sold my kids when my addiction. I did not matter. I gambled when that happened on Easter Sunday. I gambled for a full week after that. I slept outside work. I'm not looking for sympathy, but I'm just saying.
You're telling your story, Shan.
I slept outside work. I slept in my car. I didn't care. I got a couple of nights at the hotel. I didn't care when I was gambling. And I woke up one of the day, I said enough's enough. A fella actually let me stay in a house. So I was doing coaching with the kids. I had to do the following Sunday because people had paid for service, had to provide for.
Of course, yeah.
And this fella, everyone else asked me, he said, oh yeah, happy days, everything's great. And this one fella asked me for whatever reason, I don't know why, I kind of just said to him, look, things aren't going great and whatever. And he said to me, he came back down to me after the class was finished, he said, look, what's going on? And I told him, and he made me go up to the house after him, and he said, you can stay here, I'm selling the house, and no one will be here for a few weeks. And he let me stay inside that house. And no, it was the nicest thing anyone's ever done for me for no reason. He didn't have no
At your
reason.
loss.
Yeah. He had no reason to do that.
Yeah.
You know, I'd know where to go. And he was so kind to me. But I remember that house being, like, my house is full of noise. Like, when I left out today, it's full of noise. But all I could hear was the emptiness in the house.
Yeah.
The echo going out through the house it's deafening. And that keeps me so honest. Like,
talk to me about that emptiness. Like, is the emptiness you're sitting and reflect on how you're thinking?
Yeah, because obviously now, because this is the first time I'm out of home and I'm choosing not to gamble. Now, I've left out, I don't know if you know Keith Tracy.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with him on the Friday before I stopped gambling. Keith's been very good to me. He's had multiple conversations with me.
Good player as well, right? Soccer player, Keith Tracy.
And the thing with Keith I could always think about was, like, if Keith was so good and he was miles better than me and he's able to overcome it,
Yeah.
you know, like he reached a much higher level than me and lost a lot more. Not that it's about what you lose, but it's about, like, you know, like, I used to often think, like, when I go into meetings, like, sure, these people weren't, you know, that kind of way. When I wasn't open to change, I used to think that's how I used to compartmentalise it in my head. But Keith was very good to me, and he that night he said to me, "You're going to have to do it for yourself. Have to do it for yourself." And I did. When I woke up on the Monday, I rang Tabor, and they said, "You have to pay €100 fee to
get in
the meeting." I said, "If I had €100, I wouldn't be ringing you." And
sorry for laughing. It's funny though.
They said to me, "You have to pay the €100," and I said, "I don't think you understand what I'm saying to you. I goes, I'll get paid on Thursday. Just book me in for the meeting for the love and honour of God, because by Thursday I don't know what way I'm going to be thinking." Like,
yeah.
I goes, this is the first day I've ever made this decision on my own. No one's pushing me. Like, you know, my missus didn't thought. I goes, I'm asking you. Don't ring back on Thursday. And they said, they wouldn't.
You're joking.
No, they told me ring back Thursday. And I was on to the one in England as well, Tony Adams' place, but obviously I was waiting for it's a bit of a longer process.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to be able to get there for 2 months, but they were willing to take me, but I'd have to wait 2 months, and I was like, that's too long, because, like, I taught myself out, listen, in 10 minutes, like,
this is your rock bottom.
Yeah, this is my rock, and, like, as I say, my rock bottom was the rug of the kids being pulled from under me and me not seeing them for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It was my rock bottom, genuinely. And my partner, like, the way I always say is, like, my partner has stood by me through thick and thin. Like, I cannot tell you how bad I've been to her. I can't tell you how bad of a
What's
partner.
her name, Shane? Give her a shout out.
Holly,
God bless you.
Like, she should have walked away a million times from me. My parents at this stage, I don't talk to them. I've lost all my friends. I've lost anybody in my life, and she was the only one to ever stay by me. For why? I don't know, because I'm not good looking and I'm not that funny, so I don't know what she was staying for. But look, she did, bless her. And if she wasn't for her, I don't know where it would have been multiple times before that. She was digging me out of holes without knowing what she was digging me out of holes for. You know, I probably keeping you to talk for her and my problem. But, like, when I was in Dublin, as I said to you, like, when I lived in Dublin, I was getting paid a full time wage from Waterford and a full time wage from my job. I got paid on a Wednesday and a Friday. When I got paid Wednesday, I was waiting for Friday's payment, and when I got paid Friday, I was no money again.
Chasing your tail all the time.
I was losing €1,500 a week, gambling, like, a week, and whatever else I could get my hands on.
Outrageous.
You know, and you know what I don't count is losing money then as well, because I turned that 1,500 into $5,000 and then go back down, but I on't count that as losing 1,500. I don't count that as losing $5,000.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
that's the sickness you had, though.
Yeah. So I mean, I was in a really bad place, and in fairness to Holly, she for whatever reason she stood by me. We were broke up when I went into treatment. When eventually I rang back on the Thursday, and I thanked the stars that I was able to stay for them 4 days, and then ring back to Tabor and say, can I they gave me the assessment the following week. No, I was what, 10 days before I got the assessment without putting a bet on.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So I on my own, as in, I'm not, like, as in, it was, I had every reason to still keep betting.
But to turn it around, Shane, and to come out of addiction, you hear everyone saying this. Like, you can be given every single support in the world, but if it's something you don't want,
you're
never going to.
You have to want it as well, don't you?
You know,
that's why I do say it to everybody, because I've had people that have reached out to me that have been partners or parents or people, and they say to me, "Oh, will you have a message?" I say, "No, they have to guarantee me themselves. And I, as much as it makes me sound horrible,
Yeah.
I said, I've been there. People asking me to ring people. Or will
You
you
can't
talk to
do it.
so
It's gotta be yourself,
I said,
yeah.
I didn't want to have the conversation.
Yeah.
You're forcing them. They
He's
don't
on
want.
the other end of the phone going,
They don't.
fuck off, leave
Yeah,
me alone.
exactly.
You know
And
what
I was.
Yeah.
I was like that. I don't want to be listening to this.
Yeah.
You know. I mean, like I try.
But that's like you going into that room. I went in the corner. I don't want to go into the meeting. I
Yeah.
sit in the corner of the room.
Because you don't want it.
You don't want it. But if you want it, it's a better outcome altogether.
Yeah, but I would still guess it's very hard to let your guard down when you start treatment, because there's probably still a grey area where you're thinking it's not that big of a deal. Do big gambling. Do you know?
And as well with gambling, it's the seedy one. You know, if you say you're an alcoholic, they go, "Oh God, yeah, we can." Or if you say you're drug, "Oh yeah, oh God, you're
Yeah.
you've that one, do you?
Yeah.
You know, don't even want to talk to you."
But is it fair to say it's only recently it's become that? Like in the last 5 or 10 years, it's only become that because there's so many gambling addicts.
Well, it's so many. It's gone so popular
Do
now,
you know?
isn't it?
But it is. You are right. It is the seedy one.
But you're in treatment, it's predominantly like, say for example, in treatment you have outside people come in on a Monday, Wednesday. Is it a Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday? I think it's 3 nights a week from AA and NA. Gamblers are once a month where someone comes in and speaks to you about it.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Where the other ones is 3 times a week. Now, once is Alcoholics Anonymous and then twice narcotics, and then it flips around where 2 alcoholics, once narcotics.
But they all have the same effect.
Oh, I know, but we used to ask.
Yeah, but it's the attitude is like if you're doing drinking drugs, you're harming yourself. If you're doing the gambling one, you're harming everybody else.
But you're also harming yourself.
Do you know? Yeah, I know,
yeah.
but not.
Yeah, but
as
people
much
don't
like,
understand. That's why
do you
it's
know,
a seedy one, because people don't
Yeah,
think.
no.
Tell me about rebuilding relationships.
Yeah, so like the first time I fell out with my parents was around about 2013. I was obviously money going missing at home all the time for me, taking money home.
Wow.
And I think one of the straw that broke camel's back was I was out of the house at this stage. I was living with that ex-girlfriend in Carrigaline. She was letting me stay with her. I had no idea what I was going to do with life, no idea what was happening, but I still had this thought process I was going to play football, because when I finished playing that time in 2013, I was playing for nobody. I actually wasn't even playing football, so I was just living in her house doing nothing. I knew everyone was out, so I went back to the house and I tried to get in, but they'd locked the porch because they knew I might try and come back and look for something. Climbed in, went around the back, climbed in the bathroom window, took the first tablet I could find, went and sold it down in Game or whatever them shops were called, for €100 I think I got for it, and I was gone within 5 minutes. So my parents, they didn't they kind of ran me then, and we had, like, obviously we weren't then having communication because they were like, "You took it." I was like, "I didn't," because you're gonna lie to the end, like you're not gonna give up that. You've done
absolutely outrageous.
So what happened then was I ended up going up to Portadown to play, and I was up there for a couple of months. The most shambolic place you'll ever play. Like, don't ever send anyone up to north to play. Oh my God, horrific. Maybe it's a bit better now, I hope. Like, horrific. But I remember I was up there and I nearly went over to Roddy in Derry, but I was having problems with my knee. I was useless anyway. So I didn't end up going over there, and I left Portadown, so I was staying in a hotel, and it was just when I match lost and I knew I had no money left, so I made a decision I was just going to kill myself. I took 39 tablets, all painkillers that were in my wash bag, took them all one after the counter mountain table, took them all, and I remember wrote a letter to my mum and actually wrote a letter to my ex-girlfriend at the time, and went to sleep. I remember waking up middle of the night getting sick, and I thought, all right, I went back to sleep again. And then I remember waking up the next day and I was so annoyed. I woke up.
Can I just say that I read the article and that quote, "Where you are now," I don't think I've ever read anything like it. The quote is, "I was annoyed that I'd woken up and I was frustrated to be alive."
Some statement to
That's
make,
probably
isn't it?
the deepest thing I've ever read in my life.
Yeah. See, what I was going through time was I was trying to work out how I would kill myself. There was a train station in front of the hotel, and I went there, and I was like, I didn't have it in me
to jump in front of
the train. I just didn't have that. I suppose
you wouldn't have given a shit if someone pushed you.
And you were probably beating yourself up then as well.
Do you know what I mean? You probably wouldn't.
No,
like, you're not brave enough to do it yourself.
Yeah, no.
If someone pushed me, it's all over.
Yeah, but you know something? You're just going to say you're probably beating yourself up then, calling yourself a coward and you're calling yourself a cop-out. Like, it's crazy. It's a crazy roundabout.
I believe I wasn't brave enough to kill myself, like, proper way. Like, I couldn't have myself. I'm brave enough. I wasn't brave enough to throw myself on the train. I thought I was. I even when I was doing it, I was like, I'm actually doing it the coward's way. I'm taking tablets and doing it the easy way. That's what I was convincing myself. Like, I was like, at least I'm doing it the coward's way because I can't do it another way. And also I was thinking, like, at least no one has to look at me in a weird, like, you know what I mean? And I just remember when I woke up the next day, I was heartbroken. I was awake, like
That's
heartbroken.
nuts, man. That is fucking outrageous.
I rang Ronan Murray, who would have been a good friend of mine from England. He played, he's at Dundalk now, he's strength and fitness coach, who actually I don't speak to anymore, with my closest friends, because I borrowed money off him and lied to him about it. So I spoke to him, told him kind of what was happening, and he just said maybe you have to ring someone for your stomach to get checked out, which I did. I rang and they just said no. Have you got 6 cents? I said no, and they were like, you're probably all right. And I remember when she said that, I was like, I was still holding
39 tablets and you're all right.
I still don't understand. Like they're in paracetamol, like stuff you would just accumulate. Some were like 3 years old. Like I thought they were out of date and everything. I thought it was definitely goose.
Like if a diabetic took 39 Smarties, he'd be on the way out, wouldn't he?
Like I took no alcohol. That's what the general consensus was. If I had any sip of alcohol, I'd been all right. I was like, where were you the other day? But I didn't have money for alcohol anyway. But I didn't think of taking alcohol with it, to be honest with you. I genuinely didn't. So as regards to your earlier question to mending relationships, then I went back. I sat in a church. Believe it or not, it was that holy. But I sat in a church because it was probably the only free place I could sit other than the bookies. And now you think that might be your rock bottom.
Even that's unbelievable.
Yeah, sit in the church.
2 free places I could sit in the bookies or a church.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. They were my options, I thought, at the time, and I thought I don't want to sit in the thing, so I'll sit in the church. And I remember texting my dad, and they would say, look, make your way back down. And didn't have money to make my way back down. There was no Revolut back then. If I had Revolut, I went to the bookies anyway. Yeah, you know what I mean. So there was good it wasn't Revolut. But a girl I was seeing, or kind of seeing up there, I kind of told her the story, and she came over and gave me money and put me on a train, and I couldn't tell you that girl's name. Couldn't tell you that girl practically saved my life, and I couldn't tell you her name. Man. She put me on a train, put me down home. I had to go, actually got to 40 to Limerick. My parents picked me up in Limerick, and they took me in on the basis that I would, get help and go to meetings and do whatever, put my life around and whatever. And if I came back down on a Friday, I was gambling again on a Monday. I was back at it again. I was causing havoc in their house. I think they were in charge of my money, whatever, because I started doing a course I was getting paid for then, like an office administration course. I had no leaving cert. I couldn't get a job anywhere because I had no qualifications, which is another thing why Brexit is a good thing for lads now, because they get their leaving cert at least. Yeah. I had no qualifications, so I was doing this course trying to get myself a level 5, but it was through the government, so I was getting paid for it. And I got a back pay from the dole. First time on a dole, I got a back payment off them. So I went through that like it was nothing. A few thousand again gone. And then I steadily kept going with addiction from that point on. Although you think, like, when I tried to kill myself, it was nothing to me. Like, I never thought about it really until I was in treatment. I actually tried to kill myself
because you're so desperate to escape. It was just another day.
But like the path I went on after that, like I was just constantly gambling. My parents, the relationship was never the same. Still really not now, but a lot has happened even since then. I moved away in 2016 up to Dublin that time, and they were probably happy to see me go. Like, yeah, they were like, go, like, happy for you to go. No relationship with friends, which I really struggled with as well. That I think I used that gambling as a coping mechanism for that, because I had no friends. I couldn't. Now, whether I would have spoke to anyone, I just couldn't speak to anyone. I had no one to speak to. Even my early relationship with Holly, like, I was so reliant on her to nearly feed all my emotions. I was pushing everything on her. Yeah, and she had to deal with everything, like, and which must have been so tough on her, because I was probably unbearable to be around, like, because if I was good, I was good, but if I was bad, if you're
good, you were up. If you're bad, you were down.
I was
in
bad.
regards of money and
and then some, like, Holly. It's my only relationship, to be honest. Holly. Anyone else I burnt, like, I have a friend, Kev down home, like, one of the best guys I've met in life. Tried to dig me out many times. Tried to talk to me about my addiction. Tried to get me help. Got me in touch with people. Slapped him in the face multiple times. I actually think the last words he said to me were, I actually wasn't that pissed off about the money. It's the fact he just kept lying to me.
Does it?
That's a real friend, though.
Oh, real friend. And I actually messaged him when I came out of treatment, and he didn't reply to me. Now, I don't expect him to reply, but, like, he was one of the best friends, unselfish. He never wanted that in return. All he wanted me was to really be honest with him and tell him what was going on. And sure, I couldn't stop lying. Like,
how hurt are you? How hurt are you when you get to the point where you can't mend them? Like, your best friends, the S&C at Dundalk. Like,
I didn't have many. Like, Ronan would have been a very good friend of mine. Like, we were like the bees in the pod in Ipswich. Like, I mean, like, it was just the crack. Like, like, I probably been lost without him over there. Maybe him similar to me. Like, we were very close, and particularly with Kev back here, he was probably my only friend in Cork. My only friend. and I managed to kind of demolish that as well. And it was there, like, when you're gambling, to be fair, like, in the end when I was gambling, I was looking to destroy everything, like, because I used to always think it's going to end anyway. So, like,
Because you only want one thing.
Do you realise now the hurt you caused?
Probably to an extent. I mean, I'd like people, like, I'd like Kev to sit down and tell, because I'd like him to tell me, like, I'd like him to
from
say,
his point of view,
yeah,
to yours.
Yeah, because
now that you're better.
Yeah, because the one thing treatment does was when I try, because I was such a liar and a manipulator, that I would try and if you tried to start talking to me now and I didn't like it, I'd change the direction of the conversation, or I'd change it around to a thing that suited me. Where what treatment did teach me to do was listen. So if someone is giving me their point of view, listen to what they say. Whether you like it or not, listen, take it in. Instead of jumping down their throat, think about what they're saying and then give your response. So I always give everyone the chance to say whatever they want to me, good, bad, ugly, and then I'll think about it and then I'll say back what they want. I was probably 100 mile an hour all the time because my brain was always 100 mile an hour.
Of course it was,
couldn't sit still here for this long. If you ask me, I certainly wouldn't talk about gambling. So I was a horrible person, and I actually think I am quite happy-go-lucky. Do you know, genuinely, I do believe I'm happy-go-lucky. Yeah, but if you met me, if I met you walking down the street now, I turned it away so I wouldn't have to talk to you. Like, you know, where now I'd be...
People do that to me anyway, don't worry about it.
I just... I probably will do it now if I'm stuck around here. But I wasn't able to speak to people. I didn't want to speak to people. I just wanted to gamble 24/7. And I wanted to lie to people. I borrowed money off people, and then I'd ghost them, wouldn't talk to them. People have dug me out of holes where, like, I was in deep trouble, and then they've dug me out and I haven't spoken to them again. Wow. You know what I mean? Like, they've saved me from a big hole, and then I just completely gone from them. No, I've tried to mess everyone I come out. Have I paid back everyone? No. Am I going to? Yes, but it'll take a lot of time. I've dug in holes. Like, for example, when I stopped gambling for a couple of years ago, because there was a big incident that happened where I got found out, and I was like, right, I'm going to stop. And I was like, right, I'm going to stop now, promise you, all is going to stop. You're going to have all the finances, all this, that, the other. Cheats saw, and I'd taken all the money for the credit union, 12,000 for credit union, whatever it was. I was taking money constantly, so Holly took control of the finances, and I got a back payment of tax, and it was worth €200, or it was worth €3,200, 200 something euro. In my mind, whenever you're gambling, if you have a round figure, the odd number is worth nothing. Yeah. So 200 and something euro is monopoly money. The $3,000 is a whole number. That's money. The other bit is just a bit of whatever. Yeah. So I was like, I'll gamble that. Give her the $3,000. She won't know about the other money. So I lost the €200, and this, bear in mind now, at this time I owe nobody money. I haven't borrowed money off anyone at this stage. It was only my own money or my partner's money. It was never anyone else's money at this stage. So this is about 2000 and. Actually, well, Kevin was the only person who I was after loaning money off. There was no one, say, I wasn't lying to every Tom, Dick and Harry in the street about money at this stage. So I lost the €200, and I said to her, she knows what money is coming, so she's going to know that €200 is gone. So if that was on a Monday, by the Wednesday I was after losing 10 grand. So I was now not only down the €200, I'm now down 10 grand. I'm down money to people. I'm down money because I had money. There was money aside for our bathroom had to get done. So there was a couple of rents money had gone into that. I'd taken that. There was a bonus from work, so I was down 10 grand. So now all of a sudden I'm chasing 10 grand. That was within the year of me going to treatment. The year before I went into treatment, and I must have gone through. I know the money doesn't matter, but it was over 100 grand like in the year. I earned 30 grand. You know what I mean? 30, 40 grand a year in my old job. Yeah. And that was because just borrowing off people.
3 years' wages.
So you've borrowed around between 65 and 70,000 euros.
To be fair, when I was working that out, a lot of it would have been money I won. I won 10 grand a couple of times, so I'm actually now in my maths including money.
Yeah.
Like one Saturday morning, I was sat at home and I was thinking I'm goosed here, you know, and I'm in a lot of trouble. And I had €30 on my account, and I turned it into 8 or 9 grand. And by the time I went to bed, it was nothing, like, you know. And that 8 or 9 grand would have got me out of a lot of trouble.
Of course, yeah.
But does it matter?
But I couldn't pay out any of that money, because if I paid out that money, I was down in that money. I needed.
You're
to
robbing Peter to pay Paul, ain't you?
I'll be honest with you, Les, and you're going to think I'm absolutely mad. When I was in the hotel that night, when I was sitting in the hotel that day, when I got up to a few grand when I was in the hotel. By the way, because say on the Tuesday and Wednesday night in the hotel, now I was broke in by the Friday, but on the Wednesday, I was up a few grand, and I remember sitting there thinking, "Geez, will I get enough money for a house here? I'd buy my own house." Like, you're looking at me like that was my thinking.
I know, yeah.
Fucking hell.
I think I could keep winning here. I could get a couple of grand for a house here.
That's what your thought process was.
I've never, like, I always end up, like, I bet to zero. That's who I am. I bet to zero. I don't put on a bet to have money. I bet until my bank balance is empty.
Well, I think gamblers do, don't they?
I bet to zero. I'm not a gambler who can bet and leave money there. I bet to zero. That's what my betting was.
Fuck me.
So in my darkest time, sitting in a hotel with a Coke and everything, I could bet enough to win a house. I just kicked out of home for gambling and been chasing, but I'm going to bet enough money to win a house.
But is that? But like,
and I'm not trying to.
No,
accuse
no,
it. What I'm saying is
that's
the mad part of it.
But you know what I get from that? What I get from that is you're that deep in addiction that your mind is playing tricks and is telling you could have a house here, bud.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, the reality is gone. Like, do you know what I mean? The reality is gone over your mind. Like, I'm just thinking with the lies and that. Now where you are, it must be a relief that you're not, like, lying.
Yeah.
Like, that must be a serious relief.
Like I say, everyone still has to look at me, and like if I say it's by your side, they'll still go and check. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, I don't think you'll ever gain the level of trust where people won't verify what you've said, right?
I actually don't want it, though.
Yeah, of course you don't.
No, but I think you'll get some of them friends back eventually. I think you will. Look,
I don't know. Like, I think I was such a bad person. Like, I didn't even know who I was, really.
Yeah.
Because I moved away at 16. I came back at 21. I was a compulsive gambler then, without knowing the extent it was going to take me to. I lost everything. I was kicked out of my house, my kids. I had no relationship with anybody. Like, for me to wake up every day and just not bet is like the best thing in the world to me. Yeah, it's the best thing in the world to me. And I get messages off people, to be honest, most days, and they'll say, I'm this long in. If they text me and say I'm 10 years in recovery, I'd be like, like, you're my hero, like, or else someone will say I'm day one. I'm like, you're the reason why I'm in recovery. Like, because I get as much out of someone that's in recovery years as I do out of someone that's trying to get into it.
Yeah, of course.
Because I'll do anything not to be back there. Anything not to be back there.
Brilliant.
Like, my little girl, like she was wet in the bed when she thought I went to China, like, because I thought she didn't understand what it was, like.
Yeah.
And like she I've done damage to my kids through my addiction. I've hurt them. I've given them scars that they don't even know they have because of who I was. And that's the hardest thing as a parent to be, because like all I ever wanted to be was a good dad. Like, a lot of it comes from my childhood, my dad leaving me, and they feel a lot of it is why am I not good enough? And then football gave me that, why am I not good enough? And then because they really do break it down, and like it makes a lot of sense of where you create your systems from, your habits and
your thought process.
Where they say it comes before you're 7. By the time you're 7, you're after creating what your life is going to look like as regards to your feelings and how you're going to act. Like, first 7 years are a big building point to where you're going to be as an adult. Like.
Wow.
So I can look back and think absolutely that feeling of not being good enough. I kept getting that rejection feeling. That was my familiar feeling, and then go back around and gamble again and keep that cycle going. And then it was only when I finally decided to break that cycle, I was able to learn. Like, when I went in treatment, it wasn't easy. Like, people go in treatment for months upon months or years.
It's difficult, yeah.
Like, I was there for 2 weeks. I fought with them for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Couldn't understand what they're doing. I say, you're wrong. Like, you know what you're talking about. I completely disagree with you.
What clicked?
So what clicked with me was when I was in there, I part of me was still, I was in there because, Holly's going to forgive me now because I'm in treatment. Like.
Yeah.
Right? And
I'm going to see my kids again.
And she wanted me to leave the house, and I was like, I'll be left back in. And for the first 2 weeks when I was in treatment, I was like, I'm going to be left in. And I'd ring, you were allowed your phone once a day for an hour. So I'd be ringing at 6 p.m. and there'd be chaos in the house. Like, chaos. Holly'd be snapping. But she still put on a brave face to let me speak to the kids. Because we weren't together now. You know what I mean? But she's letting me speak to the kids, and she's speaking to me, and she's saying how her things are grand. When I could see in her face, like, it was hell. Like I have twins that would have been 2 at the time and a 4-year-old. So she's doing that alone. I've left her to deal with that while I'm going to work on myself and get better. You know? Then for them 2 weeks, my counsellor said, you have to work on yourself. If she doesn't let you back in, that's okay. You're going to have to when you leave here, you have to make sure you're not going to gamble. Because if you leave here with this thought process of going back to the house and she doesn't let you back in, you're going to that bookies. And I kind of sat there and I was, okay. And I started to come around slowly, and then I eventually went, I'm okay with her not wanting to be with me anymore. I'm not okay with it, but I'm okay into the fact where I'm not going to go gamble.
You understand to rectify your addiction, you have to be okay with.
Yeah. I no matter what upsets the process was, no matter what anyone does to you, you can't make that lead to a bookies. Some fella comes and punches you in the face and walks away and beats you to a pulp. You can't get up and go, right, I'm going to deal with this by being going to the bookies.
Yeah.
Whatever pain you do, you have to learn to deal with the pain. You're not going to like everything when you're not going to come out and everyone's going to be happy, high-fiving you, patting the back, because at the end of the day, you're in here. I was only in there for 30 days. You're working on yourself. Everyone else out there living their life. When you come out here, they're not going to be a red carpet for you.
Yeah.
They're going to live their normal lives.
Yeah.
You know, they're not getting an opportunity to work on themselves. Holly hasn't had a chance to work on the pain and destruction I've caused her. She still has scars and, you know, like self-worth problems that I've caused her that she can't work on. She can't get a 30-day pass to go and work on it. Like, no one really talks about the people who have to deal with the addict.
Yeah, it's a great point. Yeah.
But everyone like will say, oh, let's talk to the addict and how well they're doing in recovery. And we are. And like, me and Holly went away for a week there, first family holiday. That would never have happened if I was in addiction. Zero chance we would have went away. We booked another holiday while we were there because we're able to, because, you know, and I have more money now, just like, I'm not flush, but I'm able to save a little bit now than I ever had when I was winning money.
Yeah.
And it's just, my life is chalk and cheese. Like, what I ever say to anyone is that for you to be able to experience recovery is the best thing in the world. Like, but you have to take the step yourself. I can't convince you. I can't tell you how great my life is, because my life is just normal. It's just great to me because I've lived hell.
Yeah, that's the core way of saying, isn't it?
It's brilliant.
You know, you guys there are living a happy life. You're out living your life, but it's a normal life, and that's the best thing in the world, is to be able to just live a normal life.
Yeah.
You don't need all that. If it comes out great, whatever, it is what it is. Materialistic things are whatever, but as long as you can go and live your life, I'm not living in hell anymore. I'm living a nice, happy life. I get up, I wake up to my kids every morning, and you know, that's all I want to do. My partner, we're on good terms, up and down. Like,
are you married?
We're not. We were engaged.
We'll marry her, will you?
Well, I'll have to ask her again, because we're definitely not. And you know, but like her family, I can't put into words how much Holly. Her parents said it's them or me. Like,
wow.
They literally put it on the table. It was them or me, and she still gave me time of the day to work on myself. And as I said to her, I said, like, you've been with me through the worst years of your life. Like, please give me a chance to show you what the better side is. And she didn't have to. Like, I was out of the house. I was gone. But for whatever reason, that girl, you know, she's the best thing to ever happen to me in my life. Like, she will always be the best thing to ever happen to me in my life. I'll never, like, I could spend another 20 lives, I'll never get someone that will stand by me. Everybody else walked away. I gave him reason to. Don't get me wrong. Everyone else should have walked away.
Than anything.
Holly should have walked away as well, 20 times over. And she's still there. And she was still there when I came out. When I came out, she left me back into the house, and things have slowly got better. We've had bad days. We've had days where she's at the reminder of what I've done to her, whether it's cheating, whether it's robbing money, whether it's lying where I'm going, whether it's going for bread and coming back 6 hours later because I was talking to people on the way down the road because I was in the bookies.
Some slice pan, that was.
Yeah. You know, it's out of date by the time I get home. Yeah. Like, I was just an horrendous individual, and I gave her no reason. On Saturday morning, because I'm up money, I'm telling her we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Saturday night, I have no money, I'm not talking to her. Like, imagine doing
it's
that.
Jekyll and Hyde, isn't it?
Yeah, and I was like that with everyone. I'd look for arguments. I'd want to argue with you just to make me feel better to be in bad form.
Wow.
You know, where now I live a normal life, and it's the best.
Where's your
blessing.
pleasures now, Shane?
Genuinely, like, it's going to be kind of cliche-ish, like, but it's literally just
kids,
like, it's kids and family. Like, going away on holidays now, like, was the best thing I've ever been able to do. I went away on holidays, and it was solely for money. That I like my fundamental football thing.
Yep.
I have a fundamental football business, coaching business that I love coaching. I do 3 to 5 year old kids. I do like individual sessions, coaching sessions. I love it. I love coaching. It's just it's like, give me a spark that playing reminded me of. You know, and that's I just love doing it. Particularly 3 to 5 year olds, because it's so innocent. It's just organised chaos, but it's just so fun.
Yeah.
And through savings, we were able to go away on holidays solely because of something I was able to provide. I wasn't a provider.
That's a good feeling, though, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Like, we went on holidays, and Holly didn't have to put any money into her pocket. No, she's helped with the football, so the money is hers as much mine. It's not my money. Don't get me wrong, but it was something I was able to.
It's an achievement, right?
Yeah. And like, you know, like, I'm nothing. If it's not for I told you earlier, the social media side, it's all Holly. I couldn't put out a post without looking wrong. You
are getting a bit of snowballing on TikTok, right?
I just need to do it more. I'm not great at social media. Like, I'll end up, I'll pick it on my phone and go, I should do a video or something. And I don't even know what to do.
Get better.
You know, I don't know. Do you know that kind of way? Like, no one wants to listen anyway. That's where you'd be like, do you know?
No, listen, all right.
Yeah, the better.
Yeah.
The better listen. I haven't sat here for nothing.
Not a listen, all right.
But like, but even just things like this, like, you know, to come up and able to speak like this will keep me on a straight and narrow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and even speaking about football, I wouldn't have done that in addiction. I couldn't speak about it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to ask you a question that I asked Tony when he was here. Do you need forgiveness?
Oh no. I don't need anyone to. I honestly, no one's opinion matters to me, but it doesn't. No, Holly's opinion does matter, and I want her to see me as a better man, and my kids' opinion matter. But anyone outside of my inner circle, they can take what they want.
Because it's clear you have remorse.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
and I'd love Kev, and I'd love to talk to Ronan. I'd love to talk to a couple of lads in Dublin, and I'd love to be able to sit down with them and be like, you know, and I'd love for them to say, look, but that's me wanting a situation.
Yes,
I can't force them to feel
gotcha.
a way, and I'm okay with whatever theirs is, because I truly believe, and I didn't believe this when I went in treatment, because one of the first things they said, you're not a bad person. I was like, I am a bad person. We'll leave it there. I'm not going into this conversation. They were like, you're not a bad person. And I used to be going, tell you lads, if you know what I done, I'm a bad person.
Yeah.
And they were like, separate it. You're not. Your addiction. And the one thing I always stand by when they do talk to people is when they ask me about addiction, they say, you can't just stop gambling. You can't just wake up like, you can't just stop gambling. I'm like, I know I can't. I'm an addict. Like, I will gamble. If I gamble tomorrow, I will gamble. I'm not telling you. I didn't just stop gambling. I said what I got is tools to work on it. Before I went into addiction, I didn't understand what was wrong with me. I didn't have a clue. Now, they didn't give me the answers to tell me this is what it is, but I tell you what they have given me is tools, and I understand why I was gambling and what I was using it for. Now I understand. When I was putting bets on, I was sick. I couldn't help it. Now if I put a bet on, it's me choosing to put a bet on. I make the choice. If I go here and put a bet in Ladbrokes or wherever, Paddy Powers or wherever, I'm choosing to go and put that bet on.
So but it's more than the transaction, the choice to make that transaction. You're making a choice that can put you back in 2012.
But when I was in addiction, I had no control.
Yeah.
I didn't. I was like an out of. My addiction was pushing me to this. My addiction wanted me in that hotel room. It wanted me on my own. My addiction wanted me there.
Of course.
So like, I was living in addiction and I didn't know any better. I didn't know how to break the cycle. Once now I've been able to separate it and break the cycle. If I go in bed again, it's my choice, because I know what it's going to bring.
Yeah.
I know it's going to bring me
before
to
it wasn't a selfish choice. Now it is.
Yeah. Now I know the destruction it's caused. I know what I've done to my partner. Yeah. I know what it'll bring me, and I know it'll bring me back onto the streets. Like.
Yeah.
That's when I see someone on the streets, I feel sorry for them. I say that poor soul has just never been able to break the cycle.
Tell me, I'll ask you this one. Advice for others in the current situation, be it, and let's make it specific to a professional journey with addiction, right? What's the advice you're giving someone
in sports? You mean?
Yeah.
So in sports, and I've actually tried to reach out to Stephen about this as well. Because I've tried to speak to him about talking to people, particularly in sports, because they're going to find it a lot harder to speak about the addiction they have. I think, like, maybe not. I think everyone finds it hard. But what I'm saying is that if someone in addiction, if you're struggling with addiction, you have to tell someone. You have to tell someone, and you have to. It might not be someone that, like people have reached out to me and they haven't told their own family, and I say to them, "I'm great. Talk away to me. I'll talk to you morning and night about it." But if someone's not close to you that you can speak to about it, you're wasting your time. It has to be someone you're close with, because if I'm feeling a bit dodgy, I can have a conversation with Holly. Not that I have nerves, but I might be like, "Oh, that made me think of this," or "That made me think of that." It's something so simple like that, because if I hold that first thought in, now it becomes a second thought, and all of a sudden I didn't. Now it's a third thought. Now all of a sudden I'm 3 thoughts down when I could have nipped this in the bud, because I have someone close to me that I can speak about. I know they go on about sponsors in whatever addiction, when you get a sponsor and you can ring them up. Yeah. But I actually find it's someone that's close to you. Again, like, I never tell anybody in addiction how for them to work their addiction. You have to find what works for you. But for me, if I was playing and I was playing football now, I would have loved if back then, if I was able to go to my partner or my mum or my dad and say, "I'm struggling here. I have this addiction. I need help. Can you help me?" And I think we're in a much better place now, because people will recognise gambling as an addiction now. Yeah. They'll recognise it and they'll say, right, we need help, because like I've been in bookies and I've seen kids coming in school uniforms, and because now there's them machines, they're not even going to the counter anymore. Yeah. This age thing is irrelevant, because they're just pressing the buttons on a machine and out the door again. People don't even know they're in there. You know, so there was no scope. Like, I was doing Cork City 17s last year, and I loved every minute of it, but I obviously cut short when I went into treatment, and I haven't had the opportunity to go back. I'd love to go back League World at some stage, but I just think it's such a time bearing thing. For sure, I need to work on myself for a good while before I'm ever able to something like that. But I remember the lads in the dressing room talking about, like 16-year-olds talking about coupons and this, and I remember like Liam Carney's involved in Cork City, and like I couldn't believe how good the setup he has down there. Like, what a man! Like, he is as diligent as they come. Unbelievable. When I saw it, like, I was coming from England, I was looking at him going, this man is like, his attention to detail is unreal. I swear to God, unbelievable. If there's anyone else in the country running an academy, like I say, for what he's working with and what he's doing, it's phenomenal. Yeah, it is phenomenal. But I remember when I was going to treatment, and I said to one of the lads, I said, he wasn't Liam now, and I just said to him, I goes, I have no problem sitting down with the lads and talking to them about where I'm going and why I'm going. And he said to me, I don't know if it'd be a bit heavy for them. I'm thinking, no, it's the age you need to get them. Yeah. It's the age you need to get them quick. Yeah. And I didn't do it. I just ended up saying I was going off for a month or so, because my intention was to come back, but when I came out, I needed to focus on my family.
So your work kind of only starts when you come out, right?
And also because I was wanting to do 100 things before, when I was in addiction, because it kept my brain going. So I was able to go to 4 games a week or 3 trainings a week, and keep my mind, go to work, and I didn't want to be sitting down. I wanted to be 100 mile an hour, so that I was having, because I couldn't sit at home on the phone, because she'd be saying, what are you doing on your phone? So I needed to get out of the house as much as I could. As soon as you're out of addiction, all of a sudden you don't mind relaxing a small bit more and slowing that down, you know. And putting your body into my fundamental football, I'm able to do a lot more. I've done more in the last year than I did in 4 years previous to that.
Yeah, brilliant.
You know,
it's an absolutely fantastic story, and we often have people on and we say, oh, that's a Netflix documentary or that's a film. That is definitely a Netflix documentary slash movie. Poppa's more willing to play the part.
Oh yeah,
better looking anyway.
Poppy, do that for Shane?
Look, the openness and the honesty there. That story is mesmerising. Like, from your lowest, to hurting your family, to hurting your kids, you're being really honest. And I tell you, from the bottom of my heart, I wish you the best of luck in your future. You're a genuine guy. Don't ever stop believing that. You really are, and you're on the right road now. Stay on it and marry that girl.
She will. I say
tell you now, marry that fuck. That's an angel. Does she have a halo?
I think so, yeah.
Bring her home.
Tolly, so.
Yeah, well, there you go, yeah.
Thanks so much for coming. I'll echo that. Continued success and recovery, genuinely. And in relation to fundamental football, 2 of us are coaches. If we can give you a dig out or anything like that, if you want to do any presentations down this side of the world, give us a shout. We'll be more than happy to help you. Lads, I also want to say that there is hotlines and helplines. If people are in addiction, if people have gambling problems, reach out. Please gamble responsibly, and please be aware of the negatives and what we just discussed. Next week, it's fixtures, Poppa. We've a lot to catch up on. A few results, few fixtures. We'll cover all that next week. The awards were announced last week for Carly. We want to cover that as well. So just me and you next week. Thanks everyone for listening. Sport's fantastic. To Paddy James, all the crew here at Ampifi. Me and Poppa are making a fuck-off debut on Friday. We're playing the Irish Open.
Ah, very nice.
Yeah, in Kildare. We're playing tomorrow night. Practice round, yeah?
Are we? Okay, yeah.
Kenny. Pop, I told you last week.
Sure, look, I'm in.
Fuck's sake.
Holiday mode still.
Tomorrow night, I'll give you a show later on.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'll have to follow with that next week as well. Yeah. As always, lads. It's not my podcast.
Not my podcast.
It's Carlo Soccer's podcast. It's your podcast. Good luck and God bless.
Absolutely brilliant, yeah.
That's full time on this week's episode of the Housey Podcast. Absolutely. Available on all podcasting platforms. Find us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter/X. Proudly sponsored by Ampifi. Got a story to tell? A voice that needs to be heard? Get in touch with us here in Ampifi, Carlow Town's professional home for podcasters of all kinds. We can be found on Instagram at Ampifi Podcast Studio. Ampifi, power up your podcast.